Am I on? Okay, I'm on. Good. Welcome to the Assessment Appeals Board. Will Brandon please conduct roll call?
Board Member Ferris.
Present.
Board Member Hess is absent. Board Member Little.
Present.
Board Member Sisk.
Present.
That completes the roll call.
My large monitor went blank.
Oh.
Oh, and now it's coming back.
Okay.
Okay, good.
But actually, that's not what it's supposed to be
I
showing.
was going to say. All right. All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Okay, good morning. I'm now going to place you all under oath. When I complete reading your oaths, please state I do. Please raise your right arm. You each of you to solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the matters now pending before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. You may now be seated.
Thank you. Now, Brandon will conduct the agenda review.
Yes, we have a very short agenda review this morning. Don't know if that's good or bad. Agenda review, item 5. The clerk of the board recommends approval of the agenda review by the Assessment Appeals Board. The agenda review consists of the following agenda items. Item numbers 37 and 38. Application number 1710839 and 1710840. Applicant AutoNation Ventura Holdings Incorporated. Removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. And item number 43, application number 1711402, applicant Brian R. and Carol A. Smith, continue to October 29th, 2018, pending receipt of original stipulation. That completes the agenda review. Recommended action is to approve.
Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Okay, that completes the agenda review.
I'm a little struggling. Hold on.
Okay.
Please vote. Thank you.
All right, public comments. Does anyone in the audience have any comments on anything? Anything? Okay. Board, any comments from the board?
None.
All right. Okay. We're going to start going through the applications. We're going to have you come up, tell us if you're ready to proceed, and we'll tell you when we're going to hear your case in the proper order. Okay, first application, 17-10647. Joseph and Clara Sardaki?
Yes.
Sarkady? Sorry, Sarkady.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Joseph Sharkady.
This is a request for reconsideration of a denial due to lack of appearance by this board on March 5th, 2018. The case in total, we don't expect to take more than 15 minutes, and the clerk recommends you come back and hear this as the first item.
Okay. Any comments from the assessor's office?
As this is, good morning, board members, council. Christopher Horn for the assessor's office. As this is a reconsideration, the assessor will have little, if any, comments on this because it will be at the board's discretion.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, we will we'll trail this and we'll hear your case first after we go through the entire agenda. We're gonna ask each of the following applicants to come up and tell us if they're ready to proceed and how long. And then after that's done, then you'll come back and present your case. So we'll hear your case first, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next application, 16-11189 through 11193, Macy's West.
We skipped item 9.
Okay. Oh, did I skip? Oh, I'm looking at all the red marks on here and got confused. Sorry.
Sorry.
It had a line through it, so. All right, sorry, 16-10905, Melissa Luber.
This applicant indicated that this in an email this morning that she would no longer like to proceed with their hearing. Recommended action is to deny due to lack of appearance.
Looking for a motion to deny.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Please vote. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're on to 16-11189 through 11193, Macy's West Stores Incorporated.
Good morning, board members. Yes, we are here and we are ready to go forward.
Okay. And about how long?
I would say between 2 to 3 hours, including rebuttal.
Okay. And this also goes for the next set of applications, too?
That's correct.
Okay.
If the board agrees and if the assessor agrees, we would, our argument's the same for both years, so we would argue it at once.
Okay. Any comments from the assessor's office?
The assessor agrees with the agent present that both 16 and 17 should be argued at the same time.
Okay.
We understand the argument is the same. We're estimating an hour and a half to 2 hours for our presentation and rebuttal.
Okay. All right. We will trail this, so we'll probably hear a second.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next application, 16-11398 and 11399, Hicken Levy Holdings, LLC. Good morning.
Morning,
Could you state your name for us, please?
Bernie Heckenlively.
Okay. And are you prepared to move forward?
I have papers, but I don't know that I have my words.
Okay.
You know, I haven't organized my thoughts.
Okay.
So I don't know if I should ask for an extension or not.
Well, it'll be a while before you get on the stand because we have a couple other cases in front of you. So you have time to gather your thoughts if you want. Or assessor's office?
Yeah, to the assessor. The applicant seems very unsure at the moment about whether or not to proceed, and it doesn't appear that 30 minutes or an hour is really going to make that much of a difference today. You're looking more for possibly a week or a month to really put everything together. That's what I'm gathering from your...
Yeah, a month or two would be
Okay.
good.
I think a continuance to, unfortunately, the earliest date for a continuance wouldn't be until October, but that will give you time and to gather your thoughts and put pen to paper regarding the words along with, and from what I understand, the little bits and pieces. It'll also give you more time to contact the state and get more answers from them that may be outstanding at the moment. So would a continuance to October be suitable? Yes. Okay. I believe we have a confirmation, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Clerk of the Board, what date are we looking
So
at?
the recommended date for this case and all applications continuing today is October 29th, 2018. If that's
Yes.
acceptable to all parties.
The assessor has no problem continuing this to October 29th, and hopefully we can receive more information from the applicant between now and that time.
Okay.
Quick question?
Sure.
Mr. Chair. And perhaps since the applicant is here today, is there a way that she can perhaps meet with the assessor's office to
she-
discuss some things?
I apologize for interrupting. She has met with individuals from our office. There is a line of communication established, and it's open anytime when she has more information to give us.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Also, I
So-
think Mr. Ekema would like to speak to you at the conclusion of the hearing.
Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. Okay, so Brandon, we're okay for October 29th?
Yeah, I don't know if we've heard from the applicant if October 29th is okay.
Okay.
Does Ms. Heckenlively, would October 29th be suitable? Yes?
Okay.
Okay, so
And
yes, the
then-
request is to continue to October 29th, 2018.
And then, assessor's office, do you want the data proviso?
I don't believe we need to have
Okay.
that added simply because I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't want to put the applicant under any due
Understood.
pressure.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
so that the transcript, if there's ever one, reflects what went on, the applicant nodded her head yes when she was asked if October 29th was available. I just want that to be on the
Right,
record.
okay, thank you. I saw that too. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to postpone to October 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, we're all set. Thank you very much. We'll see you in October.
One more vote. There we
Okay, next application, applications 16-11511 through 11518 and 11572, and also 10867, CVS drugstores.
Yes, this is a multi-year, one parcel reduction for a CVS drugstore. It was emailed to your board last week, and recommended action is to approve if you've had a chance to review and don't have any questions about
Okay,
it.
any
I received
questions?
it.
I did too.
Received it also.
Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
thank you.
Please vote.
Next application, 17-10319, 108 North Robertson LLC.
This is another stipulation that was distributed to your board last week by email. This is a large reduction, and therefore it is placed on your agenda for special review should you have any questions. If you do not have any questions and agree with it, recommended action is to approve.
Okay, I read it.
Received
Okay.
You've received it. Move to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, please vote. Thank you.
Next application, 17-10602 and 10603, Fred and Mary Garcia.
Yes, good morning. I'm
Good
Mary
morning.
Garcia.
How are you doing? Are you prepared to move forward today?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, and about how long will your case take?
30 minutes maybe
Okay.
on my side.
Okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor is also prepared to move forward, and we anticipate our case would take 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
We are recommending you hear this as the second item today after
Okay.
reconsideration.
Okay. And then, do you have 6 copies of your
I do.
stuff? All right, great. Okay, we will probably hear your second.
Thank you.
Next item, application 17-10769, John J.
Hope you give me a little bit of time, because I'm 74 years old. I don't move as fast as I used to.
That's okay.
I'm prepared to present my entire case today in writing. And I'd like to go over it verbally, and I have some handouts I'd like to turn in right now.
Okay, well, hold on to those for a second. We're not going to hear the case right now. We're just going to kind of collect your thoughts and talk to the assessor's office, and then we'll probably hear yours near the end. So are you all prepared to move forward today?
Wait a minute, say that again. I'm wearing
Okay,
hearing aids.
sorry. So are you prepared to move forward today? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm prepared to present my case today in writing and verbally.
Okay, great. We'll hear your case after we go through the rest of the agenda.
Oh,
So it'll
okay.
probably be third or so, but let's go to the assessor's office first.
Okay.
Any comments?
The assessor is also ready to move forward,
Okay.
and we're estimating 20 to 30 minutes for our presentation. I don't know how long Mr. J expects.
Probably 30 minutes.
Okay. All right, we will trail this later. We'll probably hear this one maybe third.
That's
Third.
what we're recommending,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank you. You can take a seat, and we'll hear your case third, so we'll come back to it. Next, application 17-10820, Daniel Williams.
No one has checked in for this item. I just want to make sure, Mr. Williams, you're not present. Okay. We weren't expecting this applicant to be present, but we were having some major communication issues. But I do believe he indicated he would not be present in our last conversation. Therefore, the recommended action is to deny due to lack of appearance.
Okay, looking for a motion to deny.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All right. Please vote. Thank you.
Next item, application 17-10896, Carmike Cinemas Incorporated.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Michael LeBeau of Bewley, Lasleben, and Miller for the applicant Carmike Cinemas. At this time, the applicant is requesting a postponement to further work with the assessor's office to try to reach an amicable solution to this appeal. Even though this is the second request, we request this additional time because Carmike Cinemas was recently acquired, and getting the data out of the old accounting system has been proven to be very difficult. And we need this data in order to present to the assessor's office and respond to their 441D request. I spoke with Mr. Horn this morning, who hand-delivered the 441D information request to me, and the applicant wants to move forward with this. We're not ready to present today, obviously, but we request a postponement.
Okay. Assessor's office?
Mr. LeBeau is absolutely correct. There was a pre-hearing conversation. We also understand that and there seemed to be a bit of confusion. One of the agents that was assigned to one of the cases, which will be item number 40, thought Mr. LeBeau had been put in charge. The paperwork hadn't come through. So Mr. LeBeau is playing, unfortunately, catch up on both of them. And he requires more time. I think more time is acceptable, especially regarding the circumstances of the acquisition and old accounting systems and what have you. Our conversation was very positive. A proviso of 30 days, I think, would be a little bit tight for Mr. LeBeau. Would 60, I think, would be wonderful. That would give him a little bit more time to dig into whatever database he has and come up with something that will help give us an idea of what's going on.
Excuse me, Mr. Horn, did you mean 60 days from today?
60 days from today.
For Mr. LeBeau to respond to the 441D?
Yes.
Okay.
60 days from today.
Thank you.
And the applicant agrees that a 60-day deadline would be helpful.
Okay, and then so we're talking October 29th?
That's the recommended date at this time.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to postpone to October 29th with the proviso that the data requested be provided within 60 days from now.
And is this for items 39 and 40?
I was going to just do them one at a time because they're separate.
Oh,
We'll just leave it there. Yeah.
Okay,
Recommend we do it one at a time.
okay. So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Please vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
Okay, are you the rep for the next one also?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Michael LeBeau, Bewley, Lasleben, and Miller for agenda number 40, application number 17-10897. This is an agent change and another request for a postponement. I learned from the other agent that they had postponed the earlier hearing, and I was just brought on last week to handle both cases. I wasn't aware that the other case was on the agenda for today.
Okay.
And Mr. Horn, again, provided me with a 441D request. We asked for 60 days to respond to it, and we request a postponement to October 29th.
Okay. Any comments from the assessor's office?
I believe what stood for item 39 stands for number 40.
Okay.
60-day proviso from today.
Okay. Today, okay.
And October 29th as the date to continue this date.
Okay.
Just before the board takes action, I would note we did receive authorization this morning that the attorneys assigned to this case are changing. So we do have that paperwork on file, though it's not yet reflected on your agenda since we got it so late.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to postpone to October 29th with a proviso that the data requested by the assessor's office be provided 60 days from now.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank
Have
you
a
very
good
much.
week.
You too.
One more vote. Is it is yours? There we go. Thank you.
Okay, next application 17-10906, Edwards Theater Circuit.
This stipulation was submitted, a stipulation was submitted on this item this morning. It was read through to your board in the red folder. I don't know if you've had a chance to review it. If you've had a chance to review it, recommended action is to approve.
I've read it.
I reviewed it.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Next application, 17-11401, the Magad Wiga Yasa and Hanan Reda Yasa Living Trust. Sorry if I didn't get that quite right.
Yeah. Majid
Okay,
Yassa.
state your name, please.
I'm sorry?
Can you state your name, please, for the record?
Majid Yassa.
Okay. And are you prepared to move forward today?
Yeah, I already have the 6 copies.
Okay, and how long will your presentation take?
Whatever time is going to take. It's for like 15 minutes,
Okay, all right.
not
Okay,
more than that. I'm a real estate, that's why it's more easier for me to explain.
Okay, all right. Assessor's office?
The assessor is not prepared to move forward as we have contacted the applicant, I think 2 or 3 times, requesting information regarding it's a Rule 2 refuting the sales price paid appeal. So we've requested the appraisal, the inspection reports, closing escrow, all the typical documents. To date, we've received nothing from the applicant. If the board decides to move forward, you can expect the assessor to invoke 441H.
Okay. And
I didn't get any of this request.
okay.
I didn't. If
We'll-
you have an
we'll-
email, forward
we're
to me
gonna-
right now.
we'll-
With the
we'll-
old email, if you have it.
They're going to confirm some addresses, but, so it sounds like we can't move forward today if you didn't receive any requests.
I'm in the phone with them last week and we confirmed it, and they're
Okay.
asking only for the 6 copy. I already have the 6 copy.
Okay. Can you provide them with like the appraisal and the purchase contract and that
I
kind of
already have it
information?
in my email. I can forward right now.
Okay, it's probably kind of too late for them to
I'm coming
receive it
from
now.
Woodland Hills, that's why.
The person that you spoke with regards to the 6 copies,
Yeah.
that was this gentleman.
I believe you spoke, I did speak with you, yes, and you did not speak with anyone else besides me?
No.
Does the assessor have a copy of the request for
I
information?
am in the process. If we can trail this, I'll be happy to provide the emails that were sent to him and confirm that we have the proper email address because we were going off the application.
Okay.
So based on that, I'd say let's maybe hear the first case. It's only supposed to be 15 minutes, and maybe check back in on this and see if the assessor has more information.
Okay, we have one more to look at too, but, okay, so the assessor's office will do some research, and then we'll visit this in a little while, okay?
Thank you
You just
so
want to have a seat, we'll get back to you. Hold on. Thank you. Okay, next application, 17-11404, Maggie Hood.
Hello,
Hi, can you state your name for the record?
Maggie Hood.
All right, are you prepared to move forward today?
No, because I guess I missed a deadline to set the hearing, so they told me I couldn't move forward today.
Okay.
So no, I'm not prepared.
That's correct. I informed the applicant, she missed the deadline to confirm her attendance, and then she also missed the state deadline to request a rescheduling, so she's in the situation where she's on your agenda and basically forced to reschedule to a later date for not meeting the deadlines. So the recommended action is to continue the case today.
Okay, any comments from the assessor's office?
As we received no documentation to date, we have a 441H or 441D letter that we plan on providing the applicant if we or as we need to push this. I believe October 29th is suitable.
October 29th is the date we're talking, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
if the applicant is acceptable to October
Well,
29th.
I think so. I don't have my calendar with me. But I feel like I need some of the assessor's information showing me what their assessment was based on, and I haven't gotten that. And I don't know how to get it.
We have no problem providing that information to you. In fact, if you end up talking to Mr. Denham, it's the gentleman who will be back shortly, he'll be able to provide you the information we use to value the property, and you can provide us your information as well. We can have an exchange.
Okay.
And
Sounds good.
Ms. Hood, since you did express that you weren't aware of how to get the assessor's information, I will clarify on the record. As Mr. Horn indicated, generally you can get it informally with the conversation. You do have a ability to formally request it if necessary, but like he indicated, they should be willing to give it informally.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure that was clear since you indicated some questions on that.
Yeah, I had a conversation with them initially, and I was immediately told I had to have a hearing. I didn't feel that the resolution one-on-one was possible after that conversation. Nobody offered any
Right, and
information.
they may clarify that receiving copies of their documents is different than a resolution. So you should be able to discuss with them getting copies of their documents.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking to postpone to October 29th, and then do we have a data proviso?
Yes, data proviso within 30 days
Okay.
of today. Mr. Denham who's back, will be happy to give the applicant our 441D letter, which spells out the information that we're requesting with regards to the transfer.
Okay. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to postpone to October 29th with the proviso that all the data requested be provided to the assessor's office within 30 days of today.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right.
Please vote.
We
Nope.
might let the
Waiting on
applicant
you.
know that Mr. Denham is in the back of the room.
Okay.
One more vote.
And, Ms. Wood, the assessors, Rick Denham is in the back there, if you'd like to speak with him right now. Wave, Rick. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I recommend we just do real quickly item numbers 45 and then 51.
Okay. Findings of fact, okay. We're looking-
45 is requesting that the board take a motion to receive and file the findings of fact that were issued since your last meeting.
Okay, looking for a motion. Yeah, I received it too.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you.
Please vote. Okay, I'm just going to override it and say your yes. All right. And then item 51 is the stipulations. For today, these were emailed to your board last week. Unless there's any question, the recommended action is to approve.
I read them.
I did too.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
One more vote, please. Thank you. Okay. So, I don't know if we want to just get into the first item.
Are we ready to go back to the last one that you didn't have the resolution on?
Item
Okay.
number 42.
Yes, let's touch that real quick. Okay. Back to okay. All right, application 17-11401. There you go, thank you. Okay, so do you guys have...
Sir, is your address yassa99@yahoo.com?
Correct.
Okay. I have 3 emails that I can show you. I will be happy to give you these. On 3 separate dates that were sent, and I don't know, quite possibly you have a high high setting for what might be considered junk mail, spam mail, something like that. So these requests may have, also, we sent a letter, is your mailing address 22658 Victory Boulevard, Woodland Hills? We sent a letter initially, I'm going to say it was in January, possibly February of this year, requesting information.
Whatever it is, already the emails regarding the escrow, regarding the same, already
Sir, you're not on the mic. You'll need to go back to the mic so the audio picks you up.
whatever they asking regarding the escrow, wherever it's already confirming the price I get it for. They didn't ask for comparable price. That's what I prepared and they bring it today. They asking for just whatever the escrow paperwork and the appraisal and the termite report. That's the three things. It's already to confirm. It's already closed and they close in this price. But what I come here today to get the comparable price because I already have at this time, I already have the time frame to get the loan done. And this is important because this is it's open for 15 days to get 1 year tax return approved. And the year before, if I didn't close within this period, I'm not gonna get a house. That's the only concern about me. It doesn't matter the price. I can make a refinance after that, lower the interest rate. I have different plan. But at this time, when I buy the house, I need to get to get the deal done with who's confirming the mortgage. It's already for 1 year. It's open just for 15 days, and I close the rate and I get in the house. And it doesn't matter me for the price at this time. That's what they try to confirm, the escrow paperwork and the appraisal for the house. And the appraisal, that's a work wherever it's already in this period, the last 3 in this period. But when I confirm with the tax, it's giving me 3 months before and the 3 months after. And these 6 months, I already have 200 the square footage and 220 the square footage. That's why I found myself a little bit higher in the tax. That's why I'm coming today.
Okay. But it still doesn't sound like the assessor's office has the data that they need to proceed.
Just only the escrow paperwork. The escrow
They
paperwork
requested the contract and the appraisal.
If you want me to forward to you right now, I will forward to you right now. I already have it in my phone, and I can forward to this email.
That's exactly what we would like.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to review it today and move forward. So this is going to need to continue to
October 29th.
October 29th. That's part of the reason why we sent out those emails. And
Yeah, so all the data, it's already public information data now. It's public information data. You can get these data from. It's easy to find. It's just confirm. You try to get me the data to confirming the price I already paid for. I try to send you the data for the market. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand your argument, and we need that information to set up our argument.
Okay.
So that's why we need not only the information that we requested with regards to the appraisal, the closing escrow, the termite report, any cost secure, whatever, but also the comparables that you're mentioning.
Okay.
And to date, we've received nothing. So that's why we're here today, looking for a continuance, so you can provide that information within 30 days.
It will be better to get the information. You're going to send it to me to be well prepared for the October 29. Send me whatever you have for the comparable market price. I send you whatever I have.
Yes,
Just to transfer the information.
What you're
it will
looking
help
for
us in 29. I'm
Yeah.
not going to get surprised. I ask him
No.
for another day.
No, what you're looking for is an exchange of information.
That's great.
I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to postpone it to October 29th, and we have a data proviso?
Yes, within 30 days.
30 from today? Or from
From today.
Okay. looking for a motion to postpone to October 29th with the proviso that the data that their assessor's office has requested be provided to them within 30 days of today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Do me a favor, hand it to the gentleman at the back of the room.
I think you started working.
Okay.
Oh, you're on the agenda, okay. I don't move anything, I just like, okay. All right. Okay, so we're back with our first one, correct?
Yes, and I recommend we hear item 8, which is supposed to be real quick, then take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
And then here as the second case, Fred and Mary Garcia.
Okay.
The third case, John J. That should wrap us up about 11:30, and then we'll get into the Macy's stores, which you can start, then take lunch, and then finish, or take an early lunch and start it after
Okay,
lunch.
we'll
So-
see, we'll see what time it is when we get there. But
Excuse me,
I like that
Mr.
plan,
Chair,
yes.
may I make a comment to the assessor?
Absolutely.
With relation to the last item on the agenda, Mr. Denham was in and out of the room, and when you said, "I understand, sir, you'd like an exchange of information," I don't know if Mr. Denham was privy to that exchange that you had with the applicant, and I just wanted the assessor's office to make sure that Mr. Denham knew that the applicant was expecting to receive the assessor's comparables as well.
Mr. Denham will not have any problem complying with the agreement that was made between us during the exchange of conversation.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Application number 17-10647.
Yes. And I'll just give a brief overview before Mr. Shikardi speaks. I've provided, she's going to hand out some documents. This is a request for reconsideration. Your board denied the case on March 5th. And I'll just let her get this handed out. So what I've provided, if you can give one to the applicant too. I provided the application that the applicant filed, which has his address here, and then also attached is a copy of the assessor's notice of supplemental assessment. Okay, just a second. Well, hold on just a second. He just turns the dial to make them louder. Okay, they're on, so it's all the way up. If he needs to. Mr. Shikardi, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Now? Okay, good. Okay, so what I provided is a copy of the applicant's application with his mailing address on it, and a copy of the notice that caused his appeal from the assessor's office that has the same mailing address that he wrote on his application. His notice of hearing mailed in November, which still has the same mailing address on it. And then copies of emails to him reminding him of the hearing. I've redacted the other email addresses, but you can see an email was sent November 2017 informing him a notice of hearing was mailed out. A email was sent January 30th reminding him that his deadline to confirm appearance was coming. A email on February 5th to inform him he missed his deadline to confirm appearance but could still reschedule. And then a final email on March 1st letting him know his hearing was the next week and he was still on the calendar. So his emails were sent. Then following that was a notice of denial, still sent to the same address on the application. Then on April 2nd, the applicant came in person and requested an extension. We then sent, what I did is, because he was in person, I generated his notice of reconsideration on the spot and handed it to him. But I also mailed another notice to the same address and asked him to keep an eye out for it to make sure it got there. And then lastly, I have the board's policy on reconsideration. So just to confirm, Mr. Shikardi, your mailing address is 204 Midbury Hill Road in Newbury Park, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And my understanding, you indicated you never received any of the letters in this packet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What about the notice I sent you of reconsideration? I handed you a copy and said it was going to be mailed to you as well.
I didn't get the
You
title.
never got the mailed copy, okay. But you did receive the assessor's note, the second page, the notice of supplemental assessment that caused you to appeal. You did receive that?
I did receive the new bill.
Okay, so page 2 right here, the second page, this is what you filed with your appeal. So I just want to confirm, did you receive that by mail or did you come in person and get that?
I came in person.
You got that in person at the assessor's
yes.
office? Okay.
Yes.
So you've never received anything in this packet?
I didn't even receive the today's hearing email, what I was promised, you will send it to me. I didn't get the title.
Okay, okay. So, and if you want to clarify, just explain to the board how you came to find out this application was scheduled and denied and why you're requesting. If you want to just give the board some information on that.
Well, I came in, I don't remember the date, to find out what's happening, and that's when I find out it was too late already because I missed the hearing.
Okay, so that was in April when you came to my office to have the case reopened?
Yes.
Okay. So whose office did you speak to that told you that the case was denied?
I think I talked to somebody at the assessor office.
The assessor's
Yeah.
office?
Yeah.
And they told you your case was denied?
And they sent me up there to find out what's happened.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other information you'd like to inform the board of?
I have no idea why I didn't receive that. Maybe somewhere in my email receiving, but I receive at least 10, 15 junk mail a day, so I don't know why I didn't receive yours. I have no idea.
So we have no other information, board. I don't know if the assessor has comments, though.
Okay, assessor's office?
The assessor will reserve comments until after the board makes their decision on whether or not to grant the reconsideration. We may have follow-up questions for the applicant.
Okay. Okay, any comments or questions from the board?
Yes, question. Is there any other way that people have of reaching you other than your email and your mailing address? You have a telephone?
Yes, I have a telephone.
Okay, and
I did speak with him regarding today's hearing. I don't typically speak to people that haven't submitted any paperwork because we noticed him in his hearing, we sent a courtesy reminder, and so he's kind of got into the category of we're not expecting a response from you. And so I did talk to him leading up to this reconsideration hearing by phone, and of course he came in person to request the reconsideration, but before the denial, I did not try to call him. It was not raised to that priority level.
okay.
Okay.
And your mailbox situation, it's a secure mailbox?
It is.
At your
Yeah,
home?
I had no problem up to now.
Council, any comments?
The board, this is in the board's discretion if they believe the applicant has met the test. The first prong of the test is that the applicant has failed to appear because of circumstances that were beyond control of the applicant, and the applicant could not appoint someone to make the appearance on their behalf. And so it's the board's assessment of the credibility of the witness, which way the board wants to proceed.
Yeah, we have to find good cause, that it was out of the control of the applicant.
Right, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason why he didn't receive emails or letters.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Usually, the board looks for something like, I had a medical emergency and that's why I couldn't appear, and, or couldn't find my-
If the board credits the applicant's testimony that the mail was not received, the board can legally find that to be good cause. It's the board's call. I can't guide the board on that
Okay.
decision.
Well, I
I'm
think
fine, yeah, I mean,
Pardon?
go ahead, oh, go ahead.
I think the clerk's office has demonstrated that they made several attempts to reach the applicant
Correct.
with no avail.
By the phone, I received that, but that was too late for the meeting by then.
I know, I mean, there was quite a bit of effort made to communicate.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't feel that a good cause has been demonstrated.
I agree, there's too many items that were sent forward.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to deny.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Shikardi, I just want to make sure the board, you understand the board did deny your case, so there'll be no further action. You will receive a letter from us after today confirming that, so keep an eye out for that letter. And also keep an eye out, in August, you should get a notice of your assessment for 2018, and you can appeal that by September 15th of this year. So I just want to make sure you're aware of those upcoming correspondences. And if you don't get them, check with the county so that we can get you appealed for next year if necessary.
So I have to wait the new assessment?
Right, so you're now, you're eligible to appeal this event in 2018 for relief in 2018 forward, because this was a request for a base reduction. So you can come in July 2nd to appeal, but you won't get the letter from the assessor till August, okay? But just keep an eye out for those letters, and if you don't get them, come into the offices and get copies so that we don't run into this situation again.
I was told if I don't pay the bill what I received, I will be penalized.
That's correct. You're required to pay the bills as due.
So I have to pay that now.
Correct. It needed to be paid when based on the due date on the bill.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
The assessor would like to ask a couple of questions to the applicant. Do you own the property any longer?
No.
Okay. So the applicant's going to have problems receiving notice of a bill to something he no longer owns. So I don't know if there's special consideration for going after a base year.
Well, to clarify, did you own it still on January 1st, 2018?
No.
Okay. So the applicant would have no appeal rights on this property any longer. I apologize for not knowing that fact. Unfortunately, the only thing you could do is request relief for 2018 forward. Because you no longer own the property, you no longer have any rights to appeal on this property. So I do apologize for that confusion there. So unfortunately, this is just the end of your case.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we have a 5-minute recess
Yes.
while we set up for the next item?
Absolutely, okay. We're off the record for 5 minutes. All right, we are back on the record. Our first one we're going to hear next is application 17-10602 and 603, Fred and Mary Garcia. Hi, how are you doing? All right, I was like, where is she?
He told me
Okay.
to sit over here.
So are you requesting findings of fact today?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And who has the burden of proof?
The assessor believes that the applicant has the burden of proof in this hearing. This is not a Rule 2 sale. We are I'm sorry, I'm Brooke Hill representing the assessor's office. Let me back up a little bit. This was not a Rule 2 sale. We are looking at 2 valuation dates. We're looking at a transfer date of 6/25. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the hearing date. July 28th, 2016, and then a subsequent decline in value for 1/1/17. I do want to let the board know that Ms. Garcia is a former employee of the assessor's office. Rick has never worked with her directly. I don't think I've ever directly worked with Ms. Garcia, but clearly. She was in the office for about 40 years, so she
Okay.
was there when I was. Other than that, it's a non-owner occupied single family. It's a condo, and the burden of proof should be on the applicant.
Okay.
Ms. Hill, can I clarify? I thought the situation was if the assessor did not accept the sales price, it was, the burden was on the assessor. Is that?
Right, it's not a Rule 2 sale. Therefore, the burden would be on the shift back to the applicant.
Mr. Chair, the assessor has the burden of putting in the evidence that this was not a Rule 2 sale. I mean, they can say it, but it's their burden to demonstrate that. And then
Okay.
if they do demonstrate that it's not a Rule 2 sale, then it's the applicant's burden to show that there's a deviation of more than 5% from the sales price.
Okay. Thank you, counsel. Okay. So
Well,
burden of proof.
Perhaps we could start, Ms. Garcia, would you agree that this was not a Rule 2 sale? It was not listed on the open market?
No, I wouldn't.
So it was listed in MLS?
Even though it was not listed on the MLS or went through a realtor, it was offered to a few other people before it was offered to us. 2 years later, after the date of death of the taxpayer whose family sold it.
Okay. Was it offered to how many people, and by word of mouth, or was there?
Right, word of mouth. He wasn't sure if he wanted to sell it when his brother passed away.
Okay.
And we had mentioned to him, if that time comes, offer it to us or whatever, but he
Okay.
offered it to a few other people, and finally, nobody was willing to bite on what I ended up buying or whatever, but
Okay.
he offered it to
And what
us.
was the relationship to the seller?
The seller was dead.
It was
He
a
is-
friend of your
He
husband's?
is a brother of a coworker of my husband's,
Okay.
so that's the connection.
Okay. So
I mean,
there
I don't-
was. Okay. So there's been real no marketing time or exposure. If we look at those definitions, they're not met, correct?
That's the assessor's position,
Okay.
correct?
And so, and it's not considered an arm's length transaction either, correct?
That's correct, and that was actually stated in the applicant's appraisal that they had done at the time of purchase, that it was not an arm's length transaction. We do have a copy of that.
Okay.
If you would like to see that.
Okay, thanks. You guys
And
like to
it's
see it?
non-owner occupied, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
I think the burden of proof shifts back to the taxpayer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. You get to, since the burden of proof's on your side, you can present your side first, and then they'll present their side second, and then they'll do closing arguments first, and you can do closing arguments last.
Okay.
Okay?
And to clarify, did we ask, is the assessor requesting findings of fact?
Yes. Sorry? Yes, the assessor would like findings of fact. I have the paperwork here.
Okay.
I think I just need to sign it.
I'll collect that when we get your exhibits in a minute.
Okay.
I'll hand out the applicants in minutes. All right, for the record, applicant's exhibit 1 has been submitted. And Ms. Garcia, feel free to tell the board whatever you'd like about this packet.
Okay, you can tell us what we have here, or start telling us your story.
Okay, well, again, thank you for your time today. Obviously, I'm here because I disagree with the value that the assessor has put on this parcel that I purchased for $150,000 in poor condition, and the assessor's opinion of value came out at $150,000. In your packet, I have submitted the first part. I kind of tried to section it off for you to make it easier to follow. I put in some letters of response of information to the assessor, the fee appraisal that was done for my bank loan, the assessor's appraisal that was provided to me, and pictures prior to the purchase of work that I had to do just so that the appraiser could get in there to do his valuation prior to closing, and the closing statements that the assessor asked for. They also asked me for canceled checks. As being a county employee for the County of Ventura, I never can recall a time when we would ask for canceled checks. I didn't want my account numbers floating all over the internet. my checking account number, so I did not provide that, but I did provide everything else that they've asked me to. From day one, when I received my supplemental notice, I called the office to, of course, it says that, the State Board of Equalization and the Clerk of the Borough Board urges you to call and discuss your difference in opinion and value with the assessor. He was not willing to have any kind of discussion with me from day one. He told me just file an appeal. I'll see you in the boardroom. Even after providing second data information, again, he said, I'll see you in the boardroom. We'll let the boardroom decide. So I feel a little bit saddened to think that the appeals board was not willing to talk to me verbally about this simple little one-bedroom condo instead of having to have me appear in front of you. But here we are. You ask, is this a Rule 2 sale? I think that after reviewing the sale that the appraiser did and the appraisal that the office did, if the assessor had done the proper adjustments, had they done a field check to the property, you will also see that I submitted, first letter that I had sent was based on Chris Horn at the counter telling me, I viewed my concern as to not having any kind of discussion about the appraisal, and he advised me to send in my appraisal and any pictures or cost estimates or whatever as what it cost me to repair it, which I did. Shortly after that, I received another letter from the assessor saying that they wanted all the other above things, purchase sale agreement, escrow instruction, inspection reports, receipts, checks, appraisal, which I had already sent in. After finding all my receipts, they totaled up to $38,721.28. And all these repairs were for things that some were obvious when I finally unburied the house, but some were not. So these totals totaled up for repairs of all the plumbing. This was a hoarder house, had no running water in probably over 6 years. When I went to the city of Santa Paula to turn on the water, they wanted me to pay all his unpaid bills of about $3,000 or $4,000. I can't remember the exact amount. I had to prove to them that I was a new owner, so I had to go and take my escrow papers and show them that I was a new owner for them to waive all those past bills due. There was no water main because they physically took it out because the taxpayer had not paid his bills in so many years. And in doing so, when they came to repair put in the new water main, they broke it on my side of the property. So then they wanted me to pay for the plumbing repairs to my side, and my complaint was, I didn't break it, it's your main. So they ended up fixing it for me. The new floor coverings that I did, the tenting of the house was completely infested with live termites, new baseboards. There's structural damage to the floor that I have not done yet. I stained the kitchen cabinets. I put in new counters, new sinks, new disposals. I replaced the bath vanity as it was rotted and infested with termites, a new sink, a counter. I replaced the toilet, and all the plumbing had to be redone because it was just totally rotted out. And all these things, I feel, are repair and replace, and I brought the property up to an average condition. I didn't change its quality class. In my opinion, and looking at the appraisal that the assessor sent to me for my review, if you look at comps 1 and 2, both of those are almost at the 90 days past the sale date of the June 28th date that I purchased, and I don't feel that those are comparable. Comp number 3 on the assessor's comps appraisal is the same comp that the fee appraisal used. And then with making the proper adjustments, I feel that my sales price would be more in line. That parcel also sold in January of 2016 in poor condition for $112,000. It was used in the fee appraisal, but the assessor did not use that. And in doing a little bit of research, I found that the assessor for that January transfer did not use the sales price of $112,000, but $129,500 for this two-bedroom condo, which if adjustments were made, proper adjustments were made to this two-bedroom condo, that would have brought my sales price more in line. My argument is if a two-bedroom condo in poor condition appraises for $129,500, how can a one-bedroom condo appraised at $150,000 in very poor condition make any sense when they sold almost at the same time? In reviewing the appraisal, that you see that the comps used to determine value are more within the time frame and have proper adjustments, lacking the structural damage. Had I been aware of the structural damage, I didn't pull out the carpet until after we closed escrow. I think that the fee appraisal would have made a structural damage adjustment there too, because it's going to cost me quite a bit of money to repair that. I don't have enough. My estimate is about $8,000. I don't know that I have that money right now to make those repairs. In short, I did buy it from someone that my husband knows. It was offered to a few other people. I took a risk in buying it because it was completely, just full of trash from top to bottom. It took truckloads to get it to, just to clean it out so that the appraiser could actually come and do an appraisal on it. I don't feel that, because of the lack of communication with Richard Denham, and I don't know if it's because I'm a prior employee or if he thought I was expecting some special treatment, which I wasn't. Being a county employee for 41 years, a lot of those years were as an appraiser. And I have done and reviewed thousands of appraisals. And I know that, first of all, that our appeal section should have the courtesy to talk to the taxpayer and discuss the issues we have, which I don't feel that I was given that opportunity. Second of all, any appraiser is going to have to know that they have to recognize that adjustments make all the difference in the world. They do make a difference. If I have it, I don't have it, or whatever, plus or minus, you need to make those adjustments. Had I done, after providing all my information to the assessor, I still didn't receive any communication back from them. So when the clerk of the board called to confirm that I would be here today, my question to him was, am I going to get any field check? Am I going to get any kind of correspondence, whatever? And I think they called the assessor at that point and asked, are you guys going to field check this or not? Taxpayers' hearing is on Monday. So both Richard Denham and Brooke came to view this one-bedroom condo. I don't know if I should feel honored that Brooke was there with him, or if I feel that the appraiser was not comfortable in making adjustments that should be done, to any appraisal to make the subject equal to the comps that he used. And I feel that, like I say, the appraisal that was done by the bank, I feel was a good opinion of value. Like I say, it wasn't on the market, but just because it's not exposed on the market, it was exposed verbally to other people. I happen to be, if you want to say lucky to get it, after what I had to go through to clean it up. Do I have regrets? Yes. Would I have done it again? Maybe not. It was a huge mess, and I ended up spending more money than what I thought it would cost to repair. Any appraiser is going to know that a two-bedroom condo is going to sell for more than a one-bedroom condo. I've had one tenant move out because they instantly outgrew it, got pregnant, have a baby. I've had tenants that want to, it's going to, a one-bedroom condo is you have more of a limited market of who you're going to rent it to. Senior citizens, well, I can't climb up the stairs. The taxpayer who sold it was more than likely going to probably inherit it from his brother, but because he had hip problems, would not be able to go up and down the stairs. So an adjustment to the floor issue of it being over the garage and, steep stairs, should be considered. If the appraiser for the assessor is willing to make or feels that an adjustment in the market is warranted for a fireplace or a garage stall or a small square footage difference in a patio or a deck, how can you not consider that not having a second bedroom that a second bedroom comp is not equal to a one bedroom subject sale? And I kind of feel in reviewing the office's appraisal that was provided to me, that the office basically took my sales price plus the cost of all my repairs that I made and added that to my sales price and come up with their opinion of value of $150,000, which I don't feel is fair because that $150,000 to me represents a one-bedroom unit in its completed, remodeled state, and all the things that I did as far as the office is concerned should be repair and replace, and no value would be added. The appraisal should have been done based on what they saw, if they saw, the condition of the property at the time when I purchased it.
Any questions?
I'll wait till the assessor.
Okay. Assessor's Office, any questions of the applicant?
If you could give me 1 second.
Okay.
Chairman Sisk, while Ms. Hill's getting her thoughts kind of clarified, Ms. Garcia, are you also challenging the assessment for January 1st of 2017, or is that just appealed so that if you get a reduction on your purchase date, it's factored forward? And
Is that for the supplemental or?
the supplemental is as of your purchase date, July 28th of 2016.
Right.
And then your subsequent application is for the following January 1st roll year. So if we only are addressing the supplemental, any change would be rolled forward unless you're requesting a market reduction for that January 1st of 2007.
No, whatever base year value is determined would be rolled over.
Perfect. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. You guys ready?
Okay, yes, I am. Ms. Garcia, you stated in your testimony that you paid $38,721, what you had written on the receipts portion. Did you actually spend $38,000 to rehab this property before you got it rented?
I did. I spent minus the $8,000, which is the estimate that I provided to you for the contractor that came out and gave me the estimate for the subflooring repair, which I have not done. $38,000. So $30,721.28 is the actual receipts that I found. I probably have others that I didn't find, but that's what I submitted to the office and what I provided to the board.
And then wouldn't that also be minus the $4,000 estimate of your time? You didn't actually pay yourself $4,000.
That was done based on Chris Horn from the assessor's office telling me that I should give an estimate of what time and things that I do and what would I have paid somebody else to do some of this work and stuff. So he told me to provide a time and hours of what I put into it. Had I not done that, I would have had to pay somebody at minimum that in order to.
Okay, and then based on your receipts, it looks like you did have people do a variety of things,
Right.
like installing the vanity
Right.
and the granite, and some of the items were done by other people, it sounds like.
Right.
Okay. And then I know your photos here show a significant amount of trash
Right.
in the property.
Right.
And you stated that you had to get that out before you closed escrow, is that correct?
Right. Well, those pictures there are probably after 1.5 trucks loads of stuff being hauled off. There was no way the appraiser was going to walk in there. I mean, it was covered from top to bottom. So I took the risk in cleaning it out prior to my purchase so that the appraiser could go in, do his appraisal, do the thing to see if they would fund me the money for the loan.
Okay, so as of the date you actually purchased the property, it had been cleaned up, correct?
I cleaned it up.
Okay. And I just wanted to confirm, when I was out at the property, I noticed that that your condo doesn't have any shared walls with any other living area. Is that correct? It's the only unit in that building?
Yes, my unit is over 4 car garages.
Okay.
And something else that I would like to add to my unit being over 4 car garages, when I purchased the unit, I purchased it with the garage right underneath the living room or the bedroom as the garage that I purchased. Subsequently, a condo across the way from me sold, and it was discovered that that property had sold over 4 times with the wrong garage. I guess my tenant had made a verbal agreement with the owner across the way because of the noise that the 4 garages are constantly making all day, and this taxpayer used to work at night. He was not getting any sleep. So the owner was willing to swap garages they traded garages. He's had that garage for over 25 years. Well, I didn't know that until somebody else sold that unit again. And then after all the repairs and costs that I did to clean that out, repair it, garage, door, what have you, I had to turn around and give it back. They did give me $1,000 back towards the repairs and clean out or whatever, but I mean, that wasn't even enough for everything that I had to take out of there, but I did have to give it back. So it is noisy with having those 4 units there because those doors are always opening and closing, and every time they close, your walls kind of shuffle and mix. Every time the garage doors to walk in and out, it's constant. You know, your things fall off the walls. It's a little bit of a nuisance for the tenant living there.
Okay, thanks.
Rick Denham, Ventura County Assessor's Office. The date your appraiser went out from the credit union, what was the condition of the property in terms of fair, average, poor?
Well, like I say, the property, I don't think that had I removed the carpet before the appraiser came out, we would have seen the termite-infested floors and the sloping of the floor, the subflooring has major dips that are probably 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch dip that are going to need to be repaired. It's been outdated. It's an original condition from when it was built. Nothing had ever been done. So it needed some major work. So I think that if you look at the appraisal that she did, I think she made an adjustment for a condition.
Yes, and I do note that, but my original question, and maybe I didn't phrase it properly, what was the condition of the property according to the appraiser the day they did the appraisal?
Well, she's saying average just because of the time of...
Thank you. Now, another thing is, that appraiser did indeed make condition adjustments. And were they not, I believe, 17,000, 14,000, 16,000, and then subsequently nothing because apparently that other property had your same condition. Is that correct?
She made the condition adjustments as from what she saw there, like I say, not seeing the structural damage that was there. She did not make an adjustment for that. But I think if she had seen that, she would have made that adjustment also.
Of the comparables, are any of them from your building?
On my appraisal or yours?
On your
I mean,
appraisal.
The bank appraisal. comp number one is right down the street, which is pretty comparable to mine, other than the fact that it is a two-bedroom unit.
And it's also about 65 feet smaller, is that correct?
But it is a two-bedroom unit,
Correct,
right?
yeah. And what is the adjusted value on the one in the subject building?
For comp number one on the fee appraisal
Is it-
is $27,000.
And is that in your complex?
It's right down the street.
It's not in your
It's the
complex?
same- It's the same type of unit.
But it's
other
not
than
in
it's
your
across the
complex,
street.
is that correct?
Not right down, it's right down the street from mine.
Okay, thank you. And what is your current rent of the building?
$1,100 a month.
Thank you. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, board, any questions?
Yes, a quick question. I saw a note on the appraisal that neither the buyer or the seller had signed the escrow papers. So I'm asking, was this a probate sale?
Yeah, well, yeah, the taxpayer died, so.
So it had to go through the court?
It went
probate
through an
court?
attorney.
Through an
Yeah, I didn't,
attorney.
even though I didn't go through a realtor, I went through an attorney for all the final closing.
Okay. And usually with a probate sale, they will have an appraisal done for the probate court?
Yeah, well, no, maybe not. It was sold before, because I don't think they did that, because I never received that.
Okay. Okay, those are my only questions.
Nothing for me.
Okay. So was this property offered to the other people before yourself at the same price? Did the owners have a price in mind they were marketing it at, or did they just say they want to sell it? What do you want to
Yeah,
pay?
they just wanted to sell it. They offered it to a few different people. Like I say, I mean, you couldn't even get inside of it. It was, I mean, covered from top to bottom. You know, it took a lot of extensive work to do it. Nobody was willing to do that. The taxpayer also had, you know, back taxes that were due, homeowner association dues that were due for years, liens that were filed on the property. I mean, you know, at this point, I mean, this person that sold it to us, or his mother, I mean, could not afford to come up with all those monies and do whatever, and felt that, okay, it is costing us money. You know, I was willing to clean it up,
Okay.
to help out. Had I not done that, you know, I don't know that it would have sold, or not to the people he offered it to anyway.
So did you have to pay off the back taxes?
I did not.
Okay, what about the HOA
Slight
dues?
of an agreement, no. That through the attorney too. They decided that, you know, those were his brother's prior taxes and prior HOA dues that
Okay.
had needed to be continuously done. And we advised my husband's friend, you know, you do have bills, even though your brother died, you know, there will accumulate. And he didn't believe it. You know, so his mom finally said, you know, we got to get rid of this. It's going to end up, you know, they were just getting deeper and deeper in the hole.
Okay. And then who came up with the price of $115,000? Was that, is that what you thought was a good price? Did they
Well,
ask
I
for that
thought
much money?
In, you know, working in the assessor's office and reviewing, you know, appraisals that come through my desk constantly all day long, I kind of somewhat had an idea of what the market is. Considering the condition and what this and that, I felt that that was a fair market value to offer him, estimating what I thought it was going to actually cost me to bring it up to an average condition. So I took that risk and did it,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Any other questions?
When you filled out your PCOR, what did you put for condition on the PCOR?
Poor.
Poor, okay, thank you.
Okay, because I noticed, yeah, the report is listed as in C4 condition, which is sort of average, and then it does state in there that there's deferred maintenance. On which page was it on?
Well, like I say,
Yeah.
if the appraiser had actually seen the subflooring damage, I think
Right,
that would have
'cause-
considered it a little bit more poor than average.
Right, the appraiser just mentions worn carpet, worn vinyl, and original appliances. That's all they mentioned. Okay.
Yeah, well, a condo it's just a simple one-bedroom condo, there's nothing in it.
Right, okay. All right, I think we're all set. If, Assessor's Office, if you'd like to present your side?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ready when you guys are.
So a couple of things I'd like to point out before we get into the valuation portion is that this, as we stated, it was purchased direct from seller. It sounds like it was a probate sale. That makes sense. It was not an arm's length transaction. We were actually sent an email by a family member of Ms. Garcia indicating that the sales price had been negotiated 2 years prior to the actual transfer. And what's important about this case in particular is that the assessor is obligated to value the property on the date of transfer. And I do understand that Ms. Garcia took a very big risk in putting money into a property prior to purchasing it. And she could have lost that money. The problem is we can't account for that in the condition of the property as of the date it transferred. I agree. Several weeks or months prior, it appears there were mountains of trash inside the unit. But on the day that it transferred, the trash had been removed and the applicant had cleaned up the property. We have to value it as of the date it transferred.
Can I ask a question? Or,
Well,
I'm sorry.
when they're done, you'll have a chance to ask
Okay.
questions.
I'd also like to point out that comparable number 4 in the applicant's bank appraisal was not, we wouldn't consider that an open market transaction. That was a bank-owned property, and we would not consider that it transferred at fair market value. So we would ask that the board disregard that sale for that reason. When we added up the receipts from Ms. Garcia of money she actually put into the property after she purchased it, we came up with $24,000 approximately of expenses to bring the property up to a livable and rentable condition. In fact, I would call it good condition after the repairs. And as it was indicated in the appraisal, when it transferred, it was in average condition. The trash had been removed. It had been cleaned up enough to where the bank was willing to lend on it. In fact, the applicant's own appraiser only used an adjustment of $14,000 to $17,000. So I want the board to take note of that. If you'll take a look at page 4 of our presentation, we included, we wanted to make sure the board could see the color photos. These are from the fee appraisal, page 4 and page 5. As you can see, it's significantly different than some of the photos that had been presented by the applicant prior to the transfer date. In the applicant's pictures, a group of photos, those were all prior to the cleanup. So on the date that it transferred, I would imagine that the condition was much more similar to what the fee appraisal represents, which, the bathroom looks drastically different than the other photos that were presented. And with that, I will let Mr. Denham go into more detail on the assessor's valuation.
I'm going to start out on page 7, which is our appraisal for appeals purposes. During the appeal process, I subsequently learned that the property was not in poor condition at time of sale. It was in fact in average condition. And those are two different moments in time for me. And that subsequently made me look at my data and try to analyze it. Several times during numerous conversations, Ms. Garcia mentioned that, because it was a one-bedroom, that it should have a drastic price reduction. And so I actually ended up putting 4 comparable sales. My first 2 sales are from the subject building, and they represent the last 2 sales during the time period. So one of the sales is on the same month that the subject sold. I'm sorry, 3 months after the subject closed escrow, but within 90 days, a little under 3 months. The other one is from 2015. It is an old sale, but those were the last 2 in that particular condo project that sold. Comp number 3 was their comp number 1. It is similar, but it is not quite the same, and it's about a block away. So all of my first 3 comps represent really 2 in the subject building, one and obviously the one that the assessor used. We developed or tried to estimate, and because we had different numbers going along. We had 38,000, but then they didn't really do it. And then we had 30,000, but then we knew work was done prior to closing. So it is a little bit of a confusing issue, and we tried to do our best. But clearly, the name of the lender happens to be Ventura County Credit Union. We're aware, and their policy has always been they cannot loan on property that is not in at least average condition. So that we assume was, we're assuming no violation of that requirement. So then we came up with 24,000, which is a little higher than the credit union appraisal. My 4th comp, I searched far and wide, and indeed I would agree with Ms. Garcia. Finding a 1-bedroom in Ventura County, surprisingly few of them. The best I could do, and I say that, is I went to Oxnard, this particular demographics when I checked it, and income of the residents in that area and Santa Paula do line up. And so I use this comparable, and it's something to note. This was the lowest 1-bedroom I could find during that time period. So it's not just any comp. It's the lowest 1-bedroom I could find. It is substantially smaller than the one that we're doing. It's 814, and this is only 522. I made the condition adjustment that we had chosen of 24,000, which is kind of our sort of middle road, I guess you'd call it, and it adjusted actually higher than any of my other comps. I think when I was sort of challenged by the taxpayer and I found this comparable, it sort of reiterated to me that the 115 would be an unusually low price. Had it been put on the open market, I can't see how it wouldn't have sold for more. And effectively, it was in average condition. Although I made the full adjustment, this one was kind of maybe average plus at best. We have some pictures. But anyway, those are the 4 comps I used, and that's why I came up with the 150 value. And they show, of course, the 3 comparables that are relatively close by. 1 and 2 are from the subject building. 3 is from a certainly similar but not the same building. Also, I did show a copy of their bills and at the time, the information given to me. Subsequently, we were granted access, and these are the pictures, and these are now, and this is what you see that it's renting for, and these are the after condition pictures, so that gives you an idea of what she is. There is I guess a couple things that I might have point out. There are similar units to this in this building. It's not it's a standalone, but there are other units in the building that also have the same setup. They're built over the garage. And one thing unique is they have this terribly large deck. So you have kind of a nice patio. Most of the units in there have like, I forget the measurements, but it's terribly small. It's like 3 by 7 foot balconies. So on her situation, also as far as she did comment on steep stairs, they seem to be standard stairs. And like I said, there's several units with the same kind. It's a second story. You do have to go up a second story. But that's what I would say with that. Here's a copy of the comparable 1, 2, and 3, and these are third-party, various pictures at their time of sale, so you could see what they look like relative to the average condition of which we look like. And there's interiors of all the comps for you to judge in terms of our comps. So there's all the interiors, obviously the exteriors. The interiors, I should point out, from the other comps are third party from the MLS. I did not take any pictures of the insides of any of my comparables, so I should note that. But based on this evidence and access and the evidence provided by the taxpayer, we're still at recommending $150,000. And also, obviously, we still believe that it was not a market sale, that it didn't meet the standards of Rule 2. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, do you have any questions of the assessor's office, ma'am?
Yes, if I may, just give me a quick second to look at this on a comment that Brooke made. In the email that was sent from my husband, Fred, we misspoke when we said the sales price of $115,000 was negotiated 2 years ago. I mean, we knew, like I say, we knew of the sale. We knew of the death in the family. He was not ready to sell it. He did not want to sell it yet. He knew he couldn't fix it, repair it, clean it. So when it came down to the very end, it did take 2 years. We did make the offer 2 months prior to closing escrow, and it was not negotiated 2 years prior. Brooke also stated that...
Did you have a question for me about that?
What's that?
Was there a question or...
Well, yeah, you stated that you received an email stating that the sales price was negotiated 2 years prior to the purchase. I'm clarifying to the board that it was a mistypo in stating that we negotiated the sales price. We knew of the possibility of the sale 2 years prior. It took them 2 years to finally decide to sell it.
That sounds like more of a rebuttal. Perhaps you can
Right, okay.
make it into a question.
Okay, well, I think she's kind of clarifying something. Okay. Any other questions from the assessor's office?
Okay, a couple more. Just, they also mentioned that they did not use comp number 4 that my fee appraisal did because they didn't consider it a Rule 2 sale, but that appraisal was appraised in its poor condition at $129,500. And as I stated earlier, I mean, and it sold fairly close to mine, which was June, and mine was July. I cannot see how the assessor could justify valuing a one-bedroom unit with the structural nuisance failure that it has and the nuisances that it has at $150,000. Just doesn't make no sense. Like I say, for Chris Horn, he had asked me to include the fees of the work that we did in getting this whole thing up to average condition, and I feel that those, had I had to pay somebody to do that work, they would have been part of, most people were not going to be willing to clean up what I did, which was hundreds of bottles of urine bottles that looked like tea bottles and I mean, I'm surprised I'm not sick over it, but I mean, I don't want to get into all the gross part of it, but I just kind of feel that in, the property, Richard made the comment that the bank appraisal, for loan purposes, do want to see that the property is in average condition. The appraiser did make a verbal, and this is a little bit farther than, closer to poor than average, but to get you the loan, we're going to do the, we're going to call it average. You're going to make most of the, most of these
Right.
repairs are normal repair and replace type deals, but it is costly. Like I say, Richard never provided me any discussions. I've
Okay.
never received this appraisal that is in front of me today here that the
Okay.
supervisor, or that
This-
the assessor is providing.
Okay, this is the time to ask them questions about their presentation. You're kind of starting to go into closing statements a little bit.
Okay, so ask-
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
questions directly of their presentation.
Okay, so, Richard, you said in discussions with me, I mean, since day one, you refused to talk to me, and just from day one, he said, file an appeal. I'll see you in the boardroom. We'll let the boardroom make the final decision. I don't feel that as a representative of the assessor's office that's how, I'm hoping that that's not how you treat a normal taxpayer, or if it's just because I am a former county employee. I wasn't expecting any special kind of treatment.
Is there a question?
Well, I'm saying that you never gave me the time
Is there a question?
to ask it. Well, like I say, you never gave me the time to ask any questions. You refused.
Right now, is there a question?
I'm going to ask him right here.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're saying that you're considering that my property was average at the time of sale?
That's correct, based upon the appraisal you provided by the credit union. That's why I based it on average. Yes, ma'am.
And also based on the fact that it had been substantially cleaned up at the time that it transferred.
Okay. But that was at my expense, so. Like I say, you never provided me this appraisal that's in front of me today. Shouldn't I have gotten that prior to coming in here today?
Had you requested a copy, we would have been more than happy to give you
Well,
a copy, yes.
I did call the office, and what they sent me is what I have in front of me and what I presented to the board.
That was from that was prior, that was with the crew. That's a crew appraisal, not an appeal appraisal, as it were.
But that's an
And-
appraisal that you did.
I beg your pardon? Absolutely. But that, and let me answer that. At that time, I was only informed through the P Corps that the property at time of transfer was in poor condition. I subsequently learned through the appeal process much different information, caused me to look at it again. Also, when I field reviewed my own work, your work, and what became my work, I discovered that comp shingle, red tile roofs, etc., on various comps sort of didn't match up to appeal as someone would drive by it. So when I did the appraisal for appeal purposes, other than my comparable in Oxnard, they were more like for like when you visually saw them from the street, and from a drive-by appraisal is much more thorough than and actually I did a full appraisal because I did see your house, but a full appraisal is much different from a desk review. And when I had a chance to do a full appraisal, and also I had subsequent information from your appraiser, it guided me slightly different because the information didn't match up from the original appraisal, original information I had, which is often the case with an appeal.
Okay, so you're stating that a drive-by appraisal is going to be better than an actual inspection of a property?
No, I'm sorry, I may have confused you. I actually ended up doing in essence, a full appraisal on your property because I then got to see the inside. But I did the full appraisal.
But when did you see the inside?
But obviously I did the full appraisal afterwards. I had to rely on the prior appraisal for assessment purposes, which is what I did. Obviously I put a large adjustment in my appraisal based upon information gleaned both from your original data, then your subsequent data, and then also the opinion of the appraisal from the credit union.
But you physically inspected my property in the poor condition?
No, I did not. I physically inspected your property in what I would call average plus to good.
Okay, but was last week's opinion, based on
It
your...
wasn't an opinion, that's when I saw it. The
Okay.
opinion is my opinion is primarily based on your appraisal and what that appraiser saw for a couple of reasons. It's a third party, and once again, I'm aware of the standards of that credit union. It had to be in average condition, and I might differ from you as an appraiser. I can't believe that they wouldn't call it average and be comfortable with it, because that's part of that person's professional portfolio. So apparently they were very comfortable calling it average, and because of that, I called it average. That's all.
Well, okay, so then comp number 4, you're saying that you used a comp in Oxnard, which...
Correct.
We should at least have a location adjustment or something. Oxnard doesn't even compare to the location in Santa Paula. And had you added the actual structural damages that are to the property, I mean, I just kind of feel like you came up on my appraisal that was given to me, you had a range of 134,000 to 175 using, the 2 sales that were almost 90 days, close to the 90 days past the dates you could use. In my experience in the assessor's office, it usually tends to be when we're looking at something and we're reviewing something, all these adjustments need to be met. Discussions with the taxpayers. I don't feel that none of this was done based on the actual photos of what I showed you of what I bought.
You're absolutely right, because the photos you originally sent us indicated poor condition. You showed pictures of trash, and you said, this is what I bought. When we subsequently learned that that wasn't the case of the day it closed escrow, unfortunately, and I've been in your position with the property, sometimes you put money out, and then it closes in order to get it in average condition, to get it a loan. I have too done exactly what you did, but I did not know when my original appraisal was done that in fact it had closed escrow in average condition, and only subsequently during the appeal process when you gave us a copy of your appraisal from the credit union, then I became informed from that appraisal that indeed it wasn't in poor condition, that it in fact was in average condition. And from there I went. And at that point, I did it. At the first appraisal was a desk review. The second appraisal was initially a drive-by, which is usually all we get for a appeal. And so I did my drive-by, which, yes, I think a drive-by is more thorough than a desk appraisal from me or anybody else, to be honest with you. And then after that, late in the game, I got to see the inside. But I want to make it clear to the board, I saw the inside when it was fixed up. I did not see it in average condition. I saw it at least average plus the good, and you can judge that from the pictures that I took. And in essence, I saw the whole thing, but it would be what we call a appraisal. The date is as of a prior time. And my prior time indicates, and my appraisal indicates, that it was only in average condition, and that I made an adjustment slightly different from the credit union appraisal and more in your direction based upon maybe I had even more knowledge than they had. And that's how it came to be, the appraisal I did, and why it was necessary to look at it again. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Let me look at something here.
Okay. Questions from the board to the assessor's office?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
On your appraisal, let's see, down towards the bottom, you've got nuisance, and the applicant suggested that the garage doors opening and closing all the time could be considered a nuisance. What is your feeling on that?
Well, I've never sort of run across that condo adjustment in the marketplace. It could be very personal to a particular person, or if somebody came in and out. But once again, I'd like to point out there are several units like hers in the subject complex. So To be honest with you, I'm an appraiser. I just never heard of the garage opening adjustment. I don't know of it in the marketplace, and I couldn't clarify that at all.
Yeah, it seems like kind of a unique situation there.
Exactly. Well, not really. A lot of people live, it's not a uniqueness, I'm sorry, but a lot of condominiums are underneath garages that belong to other people, not just hers.
Your cousin problems on the internet, I'm told, so.
Oh, my goodness. You want to get back at it?
You're good.
I'm good now. Anyway, I've been through lots of condo projects, not just the subject, where there's a garage below a condominium. There's cars, sometimes the whole building's like in subterranean, so there's cars roaring in and out. And I lived in buildings on the 4th floor, and the stupid car alarm went off, and I could hear it. So, but I think it's more, I've never heard of anybody making an adjustment for it in the marketplace. I've never seen one on an appraisal. That'd be my answer.
Okay.
And just to answer that question a little bit from my perspective, when we field checked the property, it actually seemed like that the subject was in a very unique and nice location in that it didn't share any walls with other living units. And when you look at the comparables we compared it to, it was actually those comparables, like our Comp 1 is where we placed our most weight because it was the closest in time in the subject's complex itself. That actually shares a wall with another unit, a living area wall. Our subject does not. So it's very independent in that they don't have to worry about hearing their neighbors. I don't know, while we were there, I didn't hear any garage doors open or close, so I don't know if that's...
I guess I would add that there'd be, if not equal, more danger that if you're attached to a place that somebody's, smacked the wall or you live next to me or something like that, and it's, you'd probably prefer the cars, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, I guess it could be kind of a give and take. Okay, and then I'd like to talk a little bit about the stories, first floor versus second floor. The subject is the second floor, and you do have the staircase. I noticed then your Comp 1 would be second floor. Oh, no, I take that back, first floor. So Comp number 1 would be on the first floor, and Comp number 4 states it's on the ground level.
Yeah.
What about an adjustment for being on the second floor?
Once again, the marketplace over the years hasn't really shown that to be the case. The only time that might be the case is if there was a view factor and it would go the other way, meaning the upper floor. It's like one-story versus two-story home. I've heard the argument. I know a lot of people's preference, but I've never seen it in the marketplace. You get a two-story home in a neighborhood and a one-story home, and price, and they're the same size. The price per foot kind of stays around the same. Some people like, to be above, quote, anybody, so no one will make noise above them. Obviously, if you have physical limitations, you're going to go for one story, but frankly, the housing demand, I don't think allows for that right now, is the way I would describe it, and continues not to.
Okay, and then just one quick question on your Comp 4 on adjustments. Under condition, you've got your $24,000 to adjust to make the subject, bring the subject up to average condition. But that particular MLS on Comp 4 says remodeled condition.
Right, and you see the pictures of what, I think the remodeling was certainly fair, but it's more puffing, and I'm not sure the remodeling was necessarily 2017 or 16. It might have been 5 or 6 years prior, because we're looking, I want to make sure I have the correct one. Hang on a second, let me look at this.
Yeah, that's the one on H Street.
Yeah, what, do you know what page? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Page 8.
Yeah. Page 24 of 26.
Yeah. Yeah, if you notice, it says remodel, but I'm looking at a wall heater. I'm looking at maybe granite, but kind of tacky tile shape. And I'm definitely looking at a tile floor, and I don't see any stainless steel appliances. And I see tile in the bathroom, so
be certainly better than original, but I don't, you know, I want to see some quartz, I want to see a real granite, I want to see maybe white cabinets, I want to see millennial stuff, no offense. And yeah, it's nice, but I don't consider it a great remodel at all. And I think it's certainly fair that the realtor said it, but I think it comes under pupping and fair. So that's that.
And we did adjust count number 4 for condition.
And I did it. Sorry.
Yeah, and then also, does
get it.
your,
Yeah.
does your total living area adjustment kind of take into account the condition?
No, that's
Okay.
a condition adjustment is one thing, total living is other. Square
Okay.
footage is square footage, bigger is
Pure
better.
and, pure and simple square
Yeah.
footage. So you got 42,000 on the
That's
difference
a lot, you
there.
know, it's 60% smaller or something like that.
Yeah, it's 522 versus 814.
That's a big
Gotcha.
difference.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, on your, all the sales you have adjusted for $24,000, and I know that's the amount of the receipts, but there's also the subfloor at $8,000 that needs to be done that hasn't been addressed yet. Should that have been included?
Well, in that Ms. Garcia is able to rent the property without having done the subfloor, we were not provided any actual bids or estimates to have the subfloor redone. She chose to put the money into the flooring without redoing it, so it seems like it's not that big of an issue because she did redo the flooring, put the money into it, and she's renting it, and so it doesn't appear to be as big of a problem as the applicant has represented.
Okay. And then I noticed that you don't really have a model match, and then but you've said that there's a number of these units that are on top of garages. There's obviously, I think, I've been in this project too. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And things aren't turning over. I mean, one of the reasons there's nothing for buyers to look at is there's also not any comps for appraisers to find. It's a high demand market for limited amount of properties, which is probably guiding us as to why we thought I guess the question came up, what are you going to get for 115? And the answer was no. And then we tried, like I said, I used the lowest actual sale price of an MLS comp, which is 135. That was it. I couldn't find anything lower. And I want you to know I look for it. I do that. I'm not, for me, this is just numbers. Sorry.
And we also did make a $10,000 adjustment for the difference between the 1 bedroom
Right.
versus 2.
I see that, yeah.
As the other appraiser.
As
did.
their appraiser
Yeah,
did.
we just kept it steady. I mean, we might have, that's within our range. When we
Right.
make a bedroom adjustment, obviously, except when we get like 5 to 6 bedrooms, sometimes we don't care.
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
certainly between 1 and 2, we do.
When was the last time a 1-bedroom sold in that project? Did you go back?
That was quite a long time ago, and it became irrelevant, so.
Okay. The living area adjustment to comp 4 at $42,000, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's $144 a square foot, when the cost of the entire property is $198 a square foot. That seems kind of excessive. Did I not do my math right? I can double check it.
Yeah.
$143 a foot.
Yeah, the thing is, since the Thomas fires, we've sort of, and that, I'm sorry, but since, the brain froze for a minute. We sort of have standard adjustments, and I'm sorry, it's 42 for how much?
42,000 for around 280 feet or something like that, 292 or something like that.
Right, so on a cyclical basis, the assessor does do a paired sales analysis of the
Yeah.
various neighborhoods across the county to come up with these adjustments. So that's where it came from, is a
Okay.
paired sales analysis that we do.
I don't think we have a adjustment that's, below 100
for years now. It's just a
For difference in footage, okay.
Yeah, I know that's kind of different from the outside world, my outside world. When I
Yeah, because that line item adjustment's 30% almost by itself. It's
Yeah,
just,
in fact,
it's huge, that's all.
I think the last paired sales analysis we did was right about the time, we do them typically in July, which is right about the time that this property sold. So it would have been a very timely analysis, but we look at sales throughout the year to come up with our adjustments.
Yeah, I let the analysis do it. I didn't pick it, so. They had a lot more data.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions.
If I can ask a question. You mentioned when questioning the applicant, you were asking her, and I want to know if I heard you correctly, are your comps from the same building? But when I looked at your overview,
I'm
aerial.
sorry, I should have used the word project, condo project.
Okay.
And I misspoke.
Okay, thank you.
Right, none of the applicants' comparables from their bank appraisal were from the same complex or the same project. They were from a different, even though one of them is on the same street, it's actually in a different complex across. There's a divide, and you can't go straight down the street to get to it. It's
Yeah, it's a drainage culvert with the
you.
fence on each side. You
That's
just,
the
you
word I
can't
was
go
looking
around,
for.
you've got to go the long way around it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it took us like,
yeah.
could have blocked it.
Been there,
Could
yeah.
jump the culvert.
Moved over.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. I think we're ready for closing arguments, which you guys get to present first. Yeah, they have the burden of proof. So they present first. They close first.
Well, as I stated before, the basis for the differences that you're seeing between the applicant and the assessor, or the assessor has to value it as of the date it actually transferred. We can't consider the money that she put into it prior or the condition that it may have been in the weeks or months prior to the close of escrow. The assessor is obligated by law to value the property on the date it transferred. We know that on the date of transfer, we have a bank appraisal that stated it was in average condition. We have photos showing that it was cleaned up to some average extent. We know that the applicant actually put $24,000 into the property to bring it up to what is now good condition, but at the time that it transferred, it was in average condition. Our appraisal is based primarily on comps from the subject's actual complex. Our comp number 1 is the best available comparable we could find. It sold within 3 months of the sale date. We made appropriate adjustments. The applicant's appraisal relies solely on comparables outside of the subject's complex. We've received a lot of receipts and information from the taxpayer. Much of the work was done by professionals. They did have other people install the flooring, the kitchen, the bathroom. Most of the big ticket items, there were appliance repairs. Those were all done by professionals. So we believe that the $24,000 estimate is good, and there's no need to add anything else to that. There was testimony that the flooring, the subflooring needed to be repaired. We were never presented with any written estimates for that work. And in fact, the applicant chose not to do the subflooring work. They chose to put the money instead into new flooring and are renting the property. So it doesn't seem to be an issue. Other than that, I just want to reiterate that, again, this was not an open market transaction. Clearly, the applicant knew of this well before it actually transferred. They went as far as to put money into it prior. So clearly, the sales price can't be considered. And we would just ask that the board look at the condition of the property on the date of transfer, look at the repairs that were actually necessary, and consider those in the adjustments, and then look at the comparables from the subjects complex, because that's where we believe the greatest weight should be placed. And with that, we would just ask that the board sustain the enrolled value of $150,000. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, ma'am, it's your turn to present your side or your closing arguments.
Okay, well, I just basically would like to say that I'm saddened that I don't have a copy of this appraisal that was provided to me today, that I was never given any time to discuss or any consideration to discuss issues or what have you. I think the one time that I did talk to Richard, he did give me a few minutes, or no, I forgot what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Like I say, I mean, from day one, he told me that I would, that you would be the determining factor, that he was not going to make any changes. When I did submit my original appraisal that the bank sent me, I did also submit pictures of the condition that it was actually in, actual pictures. He said he could never find them. They were lost through the internet or what have you. So I think that when he did his original appraisal, I think he did have access to an actual inspection of the actual property inside, of what the toilet looked like and what the vanities looked like, and obviously the plumbing repairs and everything that I had to do. Their sales that they're used, I know that these are in the same unit, or the same complex. His first comp is like, it's almost right at the 90 days past the time of being able to be used. But that subflooring issue, it is going to be, I did have a verbal, a contractor tell me, I did put in a way cheaper floor than what I would have put in had I been able to afford at that time to come up with the money to decide if I could afford a minimum of $8,000. It's going to affect 4 other garages that don't belong to me now, so now I have to coordinate. I did speak with the homeowners association, because I kind of feel like it is a structural problem, that the HOA should be responsible for part of it, but they're saying that it's my issue. So in having to coordinate with 4 other people who own the garages below me, it's going to take some time and more loss of rent money coming in or whatever, and I just didn't have the money to make those repairs. I feel that they should be considered. And when Richard and Brooke did come out last week, based on a call from the clerk of the board to do an inspection, my question is that, did you take a picture of that? Brooke is saying that she doesn't think it's substantial enough to make any, that I went ahead and rented it, that didn't seem to be an issue. Well, it is an issue. It is something that I'm going to have to address. It is something that's going to cost me a minimum of $8,000. If I was living in it, maybe I would have done it instantly. Maybe I didn't have the money to do it, so I didn't. But it is something that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to tear out the roof floor. I'm going to have to pay somebody again to tear out the floor, fix the foundation, and get it going again. I feel that, like I say, I wasn't given the opportunity for any discussions with Richard. I never met with him. He never called me to make an appointment to see the inspector, the property. It had to be through a call from the clerk of the board. I feel that even though I didn't go through a realtor, I did go through an attorney. There was a lot of hoops that had to be cleared up in order to get this. It was a nightmare. Maybe the sales price plus my realtor fees that I didn't pay or something like that would be something more negotiable. But I do feel that in what I purchased, that sales price was a fair market value, even in the condition that I bought it, even though it was not on the MLS. And not everybody does that. So I would just like your consideration in that I was never given any kind of, I think this could have been stipulated prior to coming here. I mean, this is a simple one-bedroom condo. It's not a $20 million property that I'm, trying to say that I bought for $10. I think the pictures that I sent originally show exactly the condition that the property was. And internally, there was extra repairs that I had to do that I was not aware of. And I feel that the board should at least consider those facts. And, even though I did put money in prior to it, I did take that risk. I think that risk is worth something.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll deliberate behind closed doors? Okay, we'll deliberate behind closed doors on this one, and we'll inform you of our decision. Well, actually, Brandon will inform you once we make our decision.
So I can leave?
You're all set. You're good done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Should we do the next one?
Let's try to do the next one real fast. Yeah, hopefully we can get it done pretty quick. It says 30 minutes each side. Okay, we ready for our next application?
We've
What-
had
what
a
do
request to have a quick discussion on the Macy's appeals that are pending, if that's okay with the board.
Okay.
Assuming it really is quick. If it's going to take more than 10 minutes, we should still wait until after the...
It'll be less than 10 minutes.
Barely good morning. Good morning,
morning.
board members. Christopher Horn, again, for the assessor's office. With regards to Macy's, the assessor had a conversation during the past hearing with the agents, and in an effort for full disclosure, I mentioned a document that was going to be presented. Apparently, we're not the first county that presented this, or we're going to present it. And it has legal ramifications or potential legal ramifications, and they feel those issues should be addressed by an attorney. And due to that fact, they don't have an attorney present. We would like to ask for a continuance, a mutually agreed upon continuance. This can be confirmed by conversations with the agents if necessary.
Okay. What do you guys-
This is confirmed, yes.
You're in agreement? Okay. Any comments from the board? No?
I just informed the
Okay.
board, we have a few issues. This case has to be resolved by September 15th, 2018. So a continuance would clash with the 2-year requirement. And there's also an initiated 1606 request open on this application, which I believe puts some restrictions on continuing the hearing. I'm just trying to look that up. I think, though, council might have to refresh my memory. I think the conditions on restricted continuance are only if someone tries to present something that they willfully neglected to provide. I just don't want to violate the section. I'm trying to find it.
Mr. Clerk of the Board, just for clarification issues, the information that I was talking about that...
No, not related to there's a provision of 1606 that forbids continuance. And so I just want to make sure that we don't, I think it's only if they provide something. I just want to make sure we don't violate that.
Is the applicant willing to sign a 2-year waiver? Otherwise,
Can we just sign a waiver and move on? Or an extension?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is one issue. Are you willing to extend the requirement that this be resolved by September 2018?
We would, yes.
Okay, so that just is the issue then if 1606 prohibits.
which section are you
I'm
thinking?
trying to find it. Okay, I think you know what, okay, I think it's rule 305.1, and like I suspected, I think it relates to only if they present something new. I'll just read it aloud just in case. Property tax 305.1C, prohibited evidence, new material continuance. Whenever information has been exchanged pursuant to this regulation, the parties may introduce evidence only on matters pertaining to the information so exchanged unless the other party consents to introduction of the evidence. However, at the hearing, each party may introduce new material relating to the information received from the other party. If a party introduces new such material at the hearing, the other party, upon request, may be granted a continuance for a reasonable period of time. Okay, that's not the one I was thinking of. The only other one could be D, non-response to request for information. If one party initiates a request for information and the other party does not comply within the time specified in subsection B, the board may grant a postponement for a reasonable period of time. The postponement shall extend the time for responding to the request. If the board finds willful noncompliance on the part of the noncompliant party, the hearing will be convened as originally scheduled, and the noncompliant party may comment on evidence presented by the other party, but shall not be permitted to introduce other evidence unless the party consents to such introduction. I think that's the restriction on continuing I was referring to, which I don't think.
Continuance through the stipulation to a 2-year waiver, then I think.
Right, well, no, I was worried that this prohibited us continuing that 1606 was, but it only applies, in my interpretation, if something new was introduced that wasn't exchanged. So I just wanted to make sure that it didn't prohibit continuing in this situation. I think we are okay. Based on 305.1D, I think we're okay.
I don't see any impediment as long as the applicant is willing to stipulate to the 2-year waiver.
Okay. And then so are we postponing to October 29th?
We don't really have room on any day the rest of the year. So.
I know it's busy, and this isn't going to help.
One thing for the board to consider and the clerk's office to consider is if this is a lengthy enough hearing in and of itself with each party saying that they need several hours to prepare and cross. It's something the clerk, and if the room is available on a special hearing day, I mean, possibly that might be an option too prior to 29th of October.
I would not be able to set a special date at this moment. I will agree that we are expecting this case to take several hours, as evidenced by the large piles of paper each party brought this morning, but I don't know. I guess the question would be, would your board prefer we establish a special date specifically to hear only the issues of this case and no other?
I think the calendar might dictate we need to do that, but go ahead.
I just wanted to ask if maybe we could continue it without a date certain right now. It sounds like they need to contact their counsel. We'll be contacting our counsel. So there's a lot of parties involved. I'm not sure we can even come up with an agreeable date.
Right. No, absolutely.
Without consulting counsel.
Without consulting with counsel and finding out when they're available.
Right.
Exactly.
So we just postpone to a undecided date?
But I think
as
to be
long as
worked
they
out with
are willing to sign the waiver.
If that's possible, yes.
Contingent on the waiver being signed.
Contingent on the waiver being signed. Any other exchange of data, or just attorneys and waiver?
If there's anything else in addition to the.
Well, I think the 1606, because we've convened the hearing, we've drawn the line in the sand today with regards to valuation information. So now what we're talking about would really be more towards 305.1, which is the testimony that is going to be provided. I don't know if the clerk of the board is happy or not with postponing this to an undecided date.
The problem with that is how old it is, and then I have to try to get everyone to agree on a date off the record, but, well, I don't. I guess the clerk has the ultimate decision on the date if I can't get everyone to agree. But it's just more work for me.
And
if the board wants me to do that, that's fine. I just want to make sure that the board has all the facts before we go that route. That's fine.
Everybody is sort of in limbo right now. because we're now bringing in outside counsel on both sides. And the point was made, we don't know what their schedules are for being able to show up. Now, if the clerk would prefer to schedule a date, all that we ask is flexibility should that date not work for either side counsel.
And we would agree to that
I
as well.
mean,
Good
Yeah,
luck.
is there December?
I'll accommodate whatever the board wishes be done. We can make it happen. It's just more difficult when we don't set it on the spot.
But can we set it on the spot right now, or can we
If
just,
that-
can we
it's
pick
your-
October
right.
and then just change it later? I mean, or,
So the parties do not have to agree to the date. It's
Okay.
whatever the board orders. So if you order a date and they're not available, the hearing's still that day. We try to accommodate everybody, and we will try to accommodate everybody. And that's what we will attempt to do if you continue it indefinitely. But there's no guarantee of what's going to happen, I guess. So
Right.
if it's up to you.
we need to hear input from council on when they're available. We can't just pick a date now, and if they're not available, then we can't even move forward, So I think we should postpone it indefinitely, as long as you're willing to sign the 2-year waiver, and then we'll sort out a date, sooner than later.
Absolutely.
So should I
Agree.
turn that into a motion? No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to postpone indefinitely with the proviso that the applicant is willing to sign the 2-year waiver.
Today.
Today, yes.
I have that pre-filled out and ready for them to sign.
All right.
Some,
Thank you. All right.
Right. Okay. If you'll sign that. Okay. I got distracted. It was motion by board member Sisk and second by board member Little. Is that what
no,
I heard?
motion by Little.
Oh, okay.
I asked
Second
for
by
it.
Ferris.
Yeah.
Okay. Little, Ferris, and I'm messing this up. Okay. Please vote. Thank you. Great. Thank you. If you need a copy of this, I can email it to you later today.
Yes.
Okay.
And just a quick thing. Our paperwork, can you borrow your card just to print it and bring it back on?
Yeah, sure. If you can hold on just a second
Absolutely.
while we get the next item started. Okay.
Shall we start the next item, or shall we take a lunch break right now? Because it is
I
noon.
think the applicant said.
It's up to the applicant, or the assessor's office and the applicant.
Mr. J, do you want to come to the podium real quick so we can talk about your case? Just to the podium real quickly. The board wants to. Yeah, just not yet. Just.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speak.
Okay, thank you for your patience. Right now, it's noon, so we're going to try to figure out if we want to take a lunch break now or roll through this case and have a break right around 1. It's, it's up to you, it's your
I
call.
tell you, I agree with the lunch break. No, us Vietnam veterans are used to waiting and being shoved to the back of the line, so lunch break is fine.
Okay, so lunch break, return at 12:45?
That's fine. Sure.
12:45.
All right.
All right.
All right, we are back in session, and we are going to hear the last case on the docket, which is, let's see, 17-10769, John Jay. Hello, sir, how are you doing? Okay, so in this case, the assessor's office has the burden of proof, so they're going to present their side first. Then you'll get to present your side, and then we'll have questions in the middle there, and then you'll get to present your closing arguments, and then the assessor's office gets to present their closing arguments last.
How long will I have to present my case?
As long as you need.
Oh, okay.
But you did tell us a half an hour, so we don't, we'd like to not be here at 3 o'clock.
Half an hour?
That's all.
And for the record, the applicant has paid for findings of fact.
Okay, the applicant has, okay. Okay, I believe we're all set. Assessor's office? Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Rick Denham, Ventura County Assessor's Office. The property we're doing is a single-family residence at 2440 West Hemlock Street, in Oxnard, California. Probably a pretty nice salient fact is this was purchased on September 26, 1995 for $153,600. So the factored base year value is $219,804. At the time of the application, the applicant felt his property should be worth $180,000. So it's kind of an opener. This is a question about a Prop 13 from a 1995 purchase. I ask you to go to the next page, and for the applicant, it's a page with all the comparable sales. I don't think it's numbered, but it's about the third page in. It has pictures on it. The assessor's office, as you note, used 6 comparable sales. And there was the main adjustment that was consistent is that we put an adjustment of $30,000 for condition per information that was provided to us by the taxpayer. And this is based on cost to cure. And I should point out that comp number 1 and comp number 6 also side or front Hemlock. So even though comp number 1 says Rialto, in fact, it's on the corner of Rialto and Hemlock. It's on the, I believe it's the northwest corner, if memory serves me right. And comp number 6 is an older sale by our own admission, and but it's a model match on the subject street. And since really we're looking at a Prop 13 from 1990, what did I say? I want to make sure I'm saying that right. 1995, it can show some relevancy as to what the market's been doing. The other comps are basically located within a half a mile of the subject. And if you notice, the price range of the actual comps before adjustment is, I believe, a low of 360 and a high of 455. And you might ask, well, we're defending 219, but that reflects the subsequent years of 1995 to 1117 of our real estate market here in Ventura County. And also you will note that our actual thoughts are that this property is probably worth about $350,000 on 1117. But we don't want you to confuse that with the 219,804 figure. This is a Prop 13 case. So by law, I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing to the board, and you can ask your counsel, but by law, the highest conclusion of value you could ever have is 219,804 because it's under Prop 13, which the board and myself is subject to. So that based on that information, that is why, and the comps before you, that is why we're recommending that you uphold the factored base year value of 219,804. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have Exhibit B.
Okay.
2, 4, 6.
Thank you.
Board members, council, Christopher Horn for the assessor's office again. Our Exhibit B gives information with regards to the subject property, and most of it Mr. Denham went over, so we'll jump to the subsequent page regarding the salient facts. The subject property wasn't valued for a possible decline in value as of 1/1/2017. Most likely, this was due to the base year. that Mr. Denham referenced. Hence, Mr. J filed an appeal with the clerk of the board. Mr. Denham reviewed the application and valued the subject property using AMS, which is our residential module putting together appraisals. After communication with the applicant, the initial appraisal was sent to him. No adjustment was made on that initial appraisal simply because we had not received any current documentation with regards to cost to cure. That initial valuation came in at $360,000. Of special note, and Mr. Denham brought this up, was comparable number 1, which is a model match on the subject street. And it was reported to be in fair condition. And despite being in fair condition, the assessor still made an adjustment of $30,000 based on the applicant's submission. On May 18th, 2018, the applicant attempted to submit 1606 exchange of information. Unfortunately, this was denied by the clerk of the board because it did not meet all the requirements. The applicant then came to the assessor's counter, and we treated that document as a 408 request and still provided information with regards to what we were able to put together that fell under the assessor's purview. This is not the first 408 request that this applicant has done with the assessor's office. He also did one back in 2011. From the assessor's standpoint or vantage point, it appears that the applicant is attempting to take his $30,000 and deduct it from the roll value in order to arrive at his value that's reported on the appeal. That $30,000 comes out to be about $26 a square foot. Even if you were to double that or even triple that and make an adjustment, you would never be able to reach the base year value, which is under appeal today. The applicant expressed concern with regards to taxes going up at all. But under Prop 13, it's mandated that they go up no more than 2% a year. And with that, the applicant has benefited from Prop 13 because during the peak period, the bubble period, houses in his neighborhood pre-adjustment were going for $350 to $400 a square foot, while his tax rate was around $160. If you turn the page to the correspondence, you will see the most recent request from the applicant, detailed out and numbered. And then you will see a response signed by Chief Appraiser Brooke Hill, who attempted to address his concerns and contentions with the property tax system. Included in her response was a copy of Mr. Denham's draft appraisal, along with some comparables. She was also kind enough to provide a full copy of the California Property Tax Overview. This goes on, or this document is about, 42 pages. I only included the first two for the sake of saving trees. But it goes into detail with regards to the property tax system and gives him a better understanding of the history of Prop 13 and why things are done the way they're done. Also included is a copy of the clerk of the board's denial of the 1606. However, the clerk of the board was kind enough to address some issues that fell under his purview and not the assessors with regards to the appeals that were filed historically, in which areas received reductions, and also went into a more detailed event or chronological history of the events with regards to his past appeals. Also included is Mr. J's 408 request from 2011 and our response, or the assessor's response. Finally, we get into the Revenue and Taxation Code, which the first page is Prop 13. It talks about how the ad valorem taxes are 1% a year, plus whatever special assessments. We then go into Section 51, specifically D, where it says, in no event shall the percentage increase for any assessment year determined pursuant to the subparagraph A, B, or C exceed 2% a year. Assessor's records, Section 408. The assessor complied with Mr. J's request for information. We included Section 501 and based our appraisal on the information we have at hand. We're unsure of what Mr. J may provide that today, which he hasn't already. With regards to the application itself, (305G), there's a special notation: the amount of the tax or the amount of the assessed value increase shall not constitute facts sufficient to warrant a change in assessed values. We continue on with Rule 321, burden of proof. The full value of the property or other issue presented by the application must be substantiated by independent evidence. This also includes comparable sales with adjustments being made. Then we move on to Sims v. Pope. which supports Section 501. And finally, it shows the consumer price index that was used for the indexing to arrive at the factor base year value that is being appealed today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. J., do you have any questions of the assessor's office?
I got a couple of questions. Number one, are either of you two gentlemen attorneys?
I am not.
Also, I am not, sir.
Oh, okay, good, then we're on equal ground, because I'm not either. You mentioned, I believe, that the base year value of our house in 1995 was $156,000, is that what you said?
I think they said
153,600.
Oh, okay, I thought you said 156.
If I misspoke, I apologize.
That's what happens when you wear hearing aids, you don't always hear things. Okay, I wanted to cover real quick all the things that I handed out. I got my appellate statement of complaint.
Okay. Right now, this is the time for you to ask questions of their presentation, and then when you're done, we'll ask questions, and then you'll get to present your whole side.
Okay,
So-
well, that's the only questions I have right now.
Okay.
Two
All
questions.
right, then we'll get back to you in a second. We'll let the board ask questions. Any questions from the board of the taxpayer, or the assessor's office? Go ahead.
Mr. Horn, I thought you might have misspoken. I heard you say that comp 6 of the assessor's appraisal was the model match. No, comp 1, but I think it's comp 6, because comp 6 has the same square footage. I just wanted to clarify in case you misspoke on the record.
I had written down 6 as model match.
Okay.
I apologize, it is comp 6.
Okay.
That is the model match. Comp number 1 is one that fronts Hemlock.
Okay.
I apologize. Thank you for catching that.
I see your traffic adjustment for comps 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. How was that arrived at?
I'm sorry, which adjustment?
Oh, the traffic, the location adjustment, or traffic?
5% of the sales price.
Okay. Okay, rounded, all right. Okay, and where did that come from?
We recognized that there was an adjustment that was required. We did not have model matches in order to extrapolate and adjust for time, model size, and all the other nuances. So again, we made an adjustment.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the assessor's office?
No.
Okay. All right, we're all set. All right, Mr. J., it's time for you to present your side. I think if you have anything for Brandon.
Handouts real quick, and then I'm going to go into them a little bit, cover a few key points.
Okay.
We also have a copy of this 8-page document entitled Appellate
Okay.
Statement of Complaint.
Let's wait till the assessor's office gets a hold of theirs.
You have a copy for yourself?
Yes. That's the first thing. And attached to this document is a bunch of exhibits, 8
Okay.
exhibits.
Okay.
They're separated by a color sheet, red color sheet. The exhibits are attached to the back of that document. So I have the appellate statement of complaint plus 8 exhibits attached to it. Okay, that's the first handout. Next handout is the photographic evidence I'd like to submit showing the different places in our house that have defects. The obvious defects are in these photographs. There are a bunch of other defects that are not shown in the photographs. This just give you a basic idea of what we're talking about when I say defects and problems and needed repairs, many needed repairs. Okay, now I would like to hit on a couple of points in the appellant's statement of complaint. On page 3 of the document. Well, actually, I want to say something about my background first, to give you an idea of where I'm coming from. On page 1, so I am currently 74 years old, have been a resident of Ventura County since 1983. I served in the U.S. Navy on active duty during the Vietnam War from 1966 to 72. I have a 30% disability rating from the VA based on my visits to Vietnam in 1967 and probable exposure at that time to Agent Orange. I'm a member of the American Legion and Veterans of Foreign Wars. Okay, with that introduction, I'd like to go on over to page 3 under the points and arguments. I reject and oppose all their arguments about comparables based on what I'm saying right here and other things. The comparables really have no meaning because none of the comparables they're showing detail exactly what's wrong with those houses. And I have presented tremendous details in at least 2 exhibits and maybe 3 exhibits here, precisely what's wrong with our house and what needs to be repaired and upgraded. I've given great details on what the status of our house is, and they have not given any details on any of the properties showing what repair work those houses need. So I reject the comparables in their entirety, moot as far as I'm concerned. And okay, the traffic volume on our next page, the traffic volume on our street is really atrocious now. And according to real estate magazines and textbooks, traffic volume does have an impact on real estate values. I have an exhibit. One of the exhibits shows the traffic volume on our street, exhibit number 7, which I'd just like to touch on real fast. The customer report from last year, or actually 2016, there was a report, a study done by the Oxnard Police Department or the traffic section of the Public Works. And based on the data on this sheet, there's 372 cars per hour going past our house. And on the second sheet, there's almost as many for a smaller number. All right, that's 372 per hour in 2016. And when we moved in there back in 1995, there were maybe 30 to 40 cars per hour going past our house. So there's been a huge increase in volume and the accompanying noise. Okay, another thing too about our, I want to mention on page 5 real quick, our presentation. There's a, and also Exhibit 5. In Exhibit 5, at the same time, by the way, there's a map of our house, our property on Exhibit 4, showing the layout of the property. Going to Exhibit 5, I've done a calculation on the increase in property taxes from 2000 to 2016. Okay, from 2000 to 2016, there's been a 6.33% per year increase in our property taxes. The limit for Proposition 13 is supposed to be 2% a year. It's a very careful calculation, which I checked and double-checked about 5 times. It's very accurate. So we're paying more, so I believe this increase beyond Proposition 13 is an attempt to recapture some that were held down previously. I think our taxes were held down maybe in 1998 during that flooding that was going on. Maybe one more year after that. So I think what they were trying to do is recapture those decreases at that time. It's a very important point, the recapture and the comparables not meaning anything. And I'd like to show on the next page, 7, in my opinion, there's a gross bias and prejudice against appellants who are not represented by attorneys. It's my opinion, based on what I've read in newspaper articles, that the vast majority of appellants represented by attorneys win their assessment appeals. Those not represented by attorneys, like me, rarely, if ever, win an assessment appeal. Okay, the next point, also on page 7, is the complexity of the regulations and design. Laws are designed to keep the average property owner from winning his or her appeal without legal advice from attorneys. Attorneys can cost up to $10,000 per case, and $10,000 enough. So I have the 2 volumes of the Property Tax Law Guide, which I paid a lot of money for last year. Volume 1 has 3,200 pages. Volume 2 has 1,950 pages. This monstrous set of regulations of laws concerning property taxes and assessments is designed to discourage the average taxpayer who wants to appeal and to force those with money to hire attorneys, again, at a cost of $10,000 or more. This is my opinion. So in conclusion, I believe that I'm right and they're wrong. And like I said on page 8, I could easily write a 100-page dissertation on these arguments. But I want to really quickly go over the exhibits again real quick, real fast, just mentioning what each one is. One is Exhibit 1 is the assessment appeal application, which you've already seen. It was handed out by the clerk. Photos, which I handed out in Exhibit 2, a list of defects in our property, which I also gave Mr. Denham when we first met last year. Just a rough sketch of the property layout and how it looks. A tax calculation worksheet, which I already mentioned, which I believe indicates a recapture process that went on. And Exhibit 6 is a tax history for our house from 1995 to 2016. It's a pretty rough one. I just put it together real fast, and I apologize for the condition it's in. It's not a real good exhibit. So I'm going to get a more complete one later on. But Exhibit 7 is the traffic volume data sheets, which I already mentioned. Property characteristics and values. Exhibit 8. This is a real biggie, which I really would like you guys to focus on. This came from the assessor's website, Exhibit 8. Came from the assessor's website, and down at the bottom, under land use and mapping information, it says at the bottom of this box, under land use and mapping, again, this is Exhibit 8, under the box, land use and mapping, at the bottom of the box it says, attract a single-family dwelling or single-family dwelling with a guest house, a garage apartment, or a sleeping room. I want to state categorically right now under oath that we have never had a guest house, a garage apartment, or a sleeping room. Not at any time since we moved in there in 1995 have those things existed in our house. Now, the previous residents who had the house before 1995, their name was Hay, H-A-Y. They may have had something like that they were planning on doing or had actually done, but we have not used any of that stuff for those same purposes. We're using everything for storage space and library and other things. There was, again, no guest house, no garage apartment, and no sleeping room, absolutely not. So with that, I will close and say categorically reject their case, and I would like the board to accept my case and my evidence, and I'd like to have a written decision if the board would be so kind. Any questions?
Any questions from the assessor's office?
Oh, just a few. If we turn, Mr. J, to Exhibit 5. You have the 38% increase, and you're claiming it's over 6 years? But
Yeah, so 2000 to 2016 is 6 years.
2000 to 2016 is 6 years. That's your testimony?
Yeah, 2000 to 2016 is, oh, wait a minute. Okay,
16
that's 16, no, take that back, I made a mistake. Okay, 16 years, oh, great, damn it, I made a mistake. I was thinking it was 2006. Okay, that one I have to change.
Well, to expedite things, that comes out to be about 2.35 in increase per year, which takes into account the compounded factoring brought on by Prop 13. So let's...
I apologize for that mistake.
That's okay, Mr. J. If we jump to Exhibit 8, you dropped this paperwork off at the counter, and I remember receiving it, and I sent you an email. And it addressed the highlighted purple section that you have down here. But if you take a look at the description on the front end, it says tract single-family dwelling or single-family dwelling with guest house, garage apartment, or sleeping room. That is an internal code. And do you remember receiving an email from me that explained that we have never classified your house as having a guest house historically?
No, I did not see that email, but this probably might have got deleted because AOL does strange things with some of my emails.
Well, I'll be darned, because you responded to it.
Well, what did I do?
You responded.
Okay, I just said I did receive it.
Yeah.
I need to go back and review that email because I don't remember seeing that email.
Okay. With regards to your traffic study, why did you sample only 2 days instead of, say, an entire week or a month?
I did not make that decision. The the people who did the study made the decision to do that on 2 days.
Okay. Do you know what days of the week those were?
No, I'd have to go back in the old calendar and find out. It's during the week, during the week, sometime between Monday and Friday.
Okay. Would you stipulate to the fact that I researched it and I came up with Wednesday and Thursday?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Was there a specific reason why you sampled those 2 days?
No, they made the decision to sample,
Okay.
2 days to sample. I just told them that I was dissatisfied with the huge volume of traffic on Hemlock Street. They picked the 2 days they wanted to study.
Okay. Do you, with regards to the traffic volume, do you know how many of those vehicles were possibly law enforcement just making the rounds?
No, I don't. Do not.
Okay. What about fire or emergency medical vehicles?
Oh, there's always fire trucks and ambulances going by.
What about delivery vehicles like UPS or FedEx or
Yeah, there's
Postal?
probably a couple of those go by every day.
School buses?
Yeah, 1 or 2 every day.
Okay. From the documents provided, it seems that traffic was considerably heavier the morning and midday on the 21st as compared to the same time on the 22nd. Do you know if there are any nearby events that may have influenced the counts for that day, or for the
No, I do
respective
not.
days?
No.
Okay. Was there street work in the general area that may have diverted traffic?
Do not think that, I'm not sure there was.
Okay. So do you have any reason why there was a 22% drop between the 2 days?
No, I have no idea why.
Okay. What's the posted speed for Hemlock?
It was 35. I think they're going to move it up to 40 pretty soon.
But-
Right now it's 35.
Right now it's 35. What was the average speed on the street for September 21st?
See, for September 21st. Let's see. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't see on there where it says average speed. It shows the speed, different categories of speed, like 1 to 19 miles an hour, 20 and 21, 22, 23, so on up to 40 and more.
On Exhibit 7, if I direct you to the bottom bracket, and it says speed statistics,
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it now, yeah.
and the average speed for the 21st?
Yeah, 27.94.
Okay. And if you turn the page, what was the average speed on the 22nd?
Can I see yours?
32.91.
All right. And again, you said the
There.
posted speed was what time?
35, but
What amount?
they're
35.
They're
Okay.
thinking about raising it to 40. So there were a lot of vehicles going much faster than the average speed.
I'm sure there are, and some of those may end up being, again, law enforcement or fire vehicles in a hurry to get somewhere.
Not that many vehicles. There was a large number of them going over 40 miles an hour. I think the chart at the top on one page said 550 vehicles within that 24-hour period were exceeding the speed limit. Over there on the right-hand side, it says 560 vehicles were going over 40 miles an hour. Those were not all emergency vehicles.
Is it your opinion traffic has increased on Hemlock since you purchased in 1995?
A whole bunch, at least 300%.
Do you know what might be the cause for the increase in traffic?
Street improvements, I guess Hemlock Street was upgraded, I think back in 2008. And I think they designated it as one of the alternate routes or something like that. Alternate routes or primary route, primary artery.
Yes. As opposed to Channel Islands and Fifth Street. It's an alternate, it's an ancillary cut through.
That still doesn't change the fact that we're faced with a huge traffic volume in front of our house every day and every night.
Do you believe that part of the increase in traffic has been due to growth in the general area?
Yes, I'm sure it has.
Are there parks in this area?
Are there what?
Are there parks?
Yes.
Are there schools?
Yes.
Are there
always been parks in that school since we moved in there?
Are there retail and restaurant destinations in the general area?
Yeah, there always have been since we moved in there.
Could these be considered attributes as a magnet for growth?
It's possible, but the point I'm trying to make is this huge volume of traffic that we're faced with now should keep the assessed value down somewhat. And besides, the law, Proposition 13, does not state you have to raise the taxes 2%. There's no state in there, not one word that says it's mandatory that the assessment be increased every year. Not one word that I could find. And I've got both volumes of that darn thing.
Well, actually, I provided Section 51, is it 51.5? Section 51D. In no event shall the percentage increase for any assessment go up no more than 2%.
What are you at now on 56D?
51D.
Or 51D or E?
In 51, subsection 1, it says, its base year value compounded annually since the base year by an inflation factor which shall be determined as follows, and then you jump down to D. So it is going to increase on a mandatory basis.
It still does not say that you have to increase it every year. There's not one thing in there that says that it must be increased every year.
Do you still consider your area a desirable location?
I cannot argue with the location. That's absolutely no argument about that.
I'm sorry?
I'm just arguing about the house, not the property.
No, well, no, I'm just talking about the area in general.
The area is a very desirable area.
Okay. And you provided an estimate with a high-end value of $30,000 to fix the ailments that affect your house. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a bunch of factors that do affect the values of houses according to real estate journals and Zillow website.
Absolutely. So the assessor ended up providing comparables which you don't agree with. You made that clear, and made adjustments. But the assessors, and probably the board more so because they have to make the decision, how did you determine your opinion of value of $180,000?
I looked at, read a lot of documents, read the Zillow website, read other websites, looked up at houses around the state of California, in this county and other counties that were in terrible condition like ours, and I took a lot of figures and put them together and came up with an average, and that's what I used for the same number of bedrooms. We have 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms. That's another mistake too. We do not have 2 bathrooms. In 1 bathroom, the shower is unusable, so it's a half a bathroom. So I looked at the houses were in comparable shape, in terrible condition, and I got an average from Zillow and other places, a whole bunch of them. And this time, I don't think I made a mistake like I did on another calculation. That's a shocking thing that I made a mistake like that. Boy, terrible.
That's all right. It happens to all of us.
Old age, it's good to me, I tell you.
The assessor has no further questions.
Okay. Any questions from the board
That's a
for the
horrible error,
applicant?
a horrible mistake. Bad in math.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have more questions?
No. The assessor has no more questions.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I have a couple questions.
No, more questions.
So you've owned the home for about 22-ish years, 22, 23 years?
What was that?
You have owned the home for about 22, 23
That's
years?
correct, since 1995.
1995, okay. And during that time, about how much on average do you spend on repairs?
Wow. Woo, about $1,000 a year, probably.
About $1,000 a
least.
year? Okay.
plumbing, new water heater, new washer dryer, new refrigerator, new internal heating system, God knows what else. Spent $10,000 on plumbing alone the last 10 or 15 years.
Okay. Have you ever done the roof, or is that the original roof?
That's the original roof. We've not done anything to the roof.
Okay. And painting?
No, cannot afford all those repairs. It costs too much. No cheap contractors in Ventura County that I could find. You know, then he let me know.
Yeah. Paint's expensive. Just wanted to make sure that you had seen in the assessor's handout, their Exhibit B, the real thick package that the assessor handed out.
The big one?
Yeah. The very last page.
Which page?
Very last page, all the way to the end.
Okay.
It says final inflation factors for prior years.
Looks like this, Brad.
The assessor's Exhibit B, as in boy.
This one?
Yes.
It has 2 extra pages? Is that, what? I don't know.
Mine is the very last page.
It's the last page on mine, too.
Yeah, for some reason the applicant's got an aerial photograph and an SU-10. Is that an accidental?
From another report?
Took those off. Okay.
Somebody else made mistakes.
So,
That's what they're talking about.
whoever ended up stapling it grabbed extra documents off. Well,
There you go.
You don't look old enough to make that many mistakes.
It's going to solve someone else's life issue right there.
I just wanted to make sure that you had that, so you can see on the right column it says factor, and it shows,
What do they mean by factor?
these are the base year value changes. These are to the assessor. You want to explain this, the last sheet to him?
This correlates with Section 51 that I talked about, how the yearly increases can go up no more than 2% per year. So these were the factors that were handed down by the state. They weren't devised, derived, put together by the assessor. These are the percentages that are handed down by the state to which the assessor applies factoring for base year values. And over the years, you see the percent increase, like for 2013, 2014, the state CPI was 3%, but due to Section 51, it limits the assessor to apply only 2%. That's the maximum. And what we do is we take that amount and factor your existing base year value, or the previous base year value, apply the factor to derive the new base year value.
In 2008 and 2010, when they had that big, huge real estate crash in California and nationwide, when the values were supposed to be going down.
Correct.
How come you had 2% increases here for each one of those years?
Because it deals with not just the housing market, it deals with the the consumer price index for the state. So the consumer price index takes housing into consideration along with a number of other variables.
Okay.
But if you jump to 2010, 2011, there was actually a negative adjustment, and for that 1 year, a negative factor was applied to your base year value.
Oh, okay, I didn't notice that. Yeah, that's interesting. Why did it decrease only in 1 year? Because the real estate, the real estate crisis lasted about 5 years or more.
Again, it goes to the consumer price index. And it's not just the housing that was a factor.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to point that out to you because I noticed in your package, along with your application, it's on the third page, you have your tax history for your house. And I noticed in 2003, you put up on the change column that your taxes went up 10.1%. 2005, 3.9%. 2009, 4.0.
Yeah, I got these figures from the Zillow website.
Okay. May I ask a question back to the assessor?
I thought Zillow website, I thought Zillow was pretty accurate in their figures, but maybe not.
Okay, so
These are
if
my
I can go
figures,
back.
these are from the Zillow website.
Okay, just pointing those out to you, I just want to go back to the assessor. Has the applicant ever been charged in 2003, 10% increase? 2005, 3.9, 2009, 4.0?
No, because because of his base year value, the way the system is set up, we apply the factor gets applied. We would have to single him out, and there's no reason to. The only way that much of an increase would have happened would have been if he had added an addition, done a guest house, done a pool, done something of significant value to cause us to raise that. And based on his testimony and also the history that we've seen, his house, with the way when he purchased it, has remained the same configuration throughout its tenure. So there would have been, there wouldn't have been a reason for us to raise taxes that amount.
Okay.
Or that percentage.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that you were never charged that type of an increase on your property taxes.
Okay.
And if I kind of just do a simple math in my head, you've owned the property 22-ish years, so at 2% per year times how long you've owned the house based upon your purchase price, your base year does appear that it should be right around $220,000, just using my rough figure of 2% per year.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay. Just want to make sure you're aware that I think that's a good page for you to study. No
Okay.
more.
I have a few questions.
Just as a side note, if the applicant's property, and I didn't go back and search the historical years because we're dealing with 2017, with regards to the value on the roll, if he had been on Prop 8 and he had gone from Prop 8 up to back onto Prop 13, because there had been a jump in, that may have been a cause for something that may have been more than 2%. Also, the applicant at one time filed an appeal. The board granted him a reduction for 1 year. I believe there was a sewer issue that was remedied. The board took that into consideration, lowered the value. Obviously, when the costs to cure were applied, the situation was taken care of. The next year it may have been more of a jump from what the board had authorized to the subsequent year when the property was without ailment of the sewer issue.
What's the difference between the red line figures and the blue line figures again?
The blue line figure is if you purchase the property for $400,000 or a property for $400,000, it shows the maximum 2% increase per year. The red line figure shows what in the first jump, what the market value may be. However, a $425,000, that would have been the market value. However, due to the Prop 13 indexing, you would have only been taxed on $408,000. The red line further shows that if the market value was $375,000 and your Prop 13 was $416,160, the assessor would have been obligated to value it at $375,000. And this diagram shows the progression over years until we get to the point where the market has recovered like it did recently. And if the market value is $470,000, you're only going to be taxed on $450,000 because Prop 13 is in place, and that's the maximum amount through historical indexing that the assessor can tax you on.
That's a fascinating graph, really interesting. A lot of tricky stuff involved there.
Okay, you guys all set? Okay. So I have a few questions, Mr. J. So all the pictures that you've shown us with all the maintenance issues, the roof and the fascia, was the home in that kind of condition when you bought it, or is it declined since 1995 till now? Are any of these repairs that were around when you purchased the house?
What was that?
Oh, I'm wondering if the condition of the house, the pictures you gave us with the roof and the termite and everything else, was the home in that kind of condition when you bought it, or did it decline from 1995 until right now?
I think everything I said in my statement clarifies what I feel. I don't think it's worth more than $180,000 because of all of the repair work that it needs.
Okay.
I mean, the assessment value, I don't think should exceed $180,000. The property, I'm not going to argue with it because the property is in a darn good location.
Okay, I have no further
Ideal
questions.
situation, even though we're around the borderline between Fort Manimi and Oxnard, which does cause some confusion.
Okay, Mr. J.
We don't own the walls around the property except the front fence.
Okay.
Somebody else owns them, but still
Okay.
an ideal location regardless of that.
Okay, Mr. J. I think we're all done with our questions of your presentation. Right now, it's time for you to present your closing arguments.
The closing argument is to please uphold my request and keep my assessment down to what I wanted.
Okay. Assessor's Office, your opportunity for closing statements.
I would like to get a written response, if I could, written opinion.
Okay, I think you've requested findings of fact, so you will get an official.
Yes, he's paid
report.
for that. I know there was concern and about his records from 2008 and 9. I unfortunately don't have records back that far, but because you have paid for the document, county council or the board is legally obligated to provide that to you. So you will get it in the near future.
Okay, thank you. All right, Assessor's Office.
The assessor appreciates Mr. J coming out and providing all the information to not only us, but also to the board with regards to his concerns. He's gone into some great detail about the increase in traffic, which happens, of course, with growth in an area. The assessor is of the opinion that the There's a misconception about how to determine the value that Mr. J is requesting. So we went with comparable sales, made adjustments, tried to find homes that were on the subject street or adjacent to. And we believe we've provided enough information to the board to sustain the roll value. Thank you.
Again, I object to those comparables, the way they've got them, because they don't show any of the repair work that's needed on those comparables. Not a single detail about what's wrong with those comparables compared to the long list of stuff I've got on mine.
All right.
No comparison whatsoever.
Okay, I think we've heard both sides, and I think we're going to deliberate behind closed doors, and we'll provide our decision to Brandon when we're finished, and Brandon will notify you of our decision. I think we're all set.
A long day.
Yeah, long day. Thanks for being patient. Is there anything else we need to wrap up, Brandon? Should we close?
Yeah, you've completed your agenda. There's no reason to keep the meeting open. The time is 1:54 p.m. if you'd like to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. All right.